Horseshoe Indie in Shelbyville, Indiana. Weather's going to be a serious theme on today's broadcast and our focus of racing at Horseshoe Indie here on America's Day at the Races. Great to have you with us on Fox Sports 2 and about 740 miles northeast Aqueduct Racetrack here in South Ozone Park. Welcome everyone alongside Megan Burgess, Maggie Wolfendale. I'm Lafitte Pinkai. It is great to be back in New York. Looking forward to seeing some live racing in New York. Not going to happen today, Maggie. The racing has been canceled. How did racing officials arrive at that conclusion?
Well, first of all, Lafitte, I'm very impressed with your geography skills, quoting the 700
Just
miles.
But
well done. Yes, today, obviously, with the weather that you can see behind us, a lot of rain in the tri-state area. But what made officials decide to cancel racing day was the winds. We're expecting 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts. I mean, when I got out of my car pulling up here, my door nearly ripped off. So it is windy, and therefore it's deemed unsafe for horses and riders to be on the track.
Nice smooth flight in this morning, Megan, yes?
Quite the opposite. I'm an anxious flyer, guys, and it didn't do me any favors. I thought I was going to be in one of the news stories today, but we did end up making it here on time. But I just missed you guys. I had to come back to New York, and I get to do so with two of my favorites, so I'm extremely excited. It's definitely been... Things have changed today, but it gives us all the more reason to talk about championship weekend coming up. I know we are all extremely excited about what's to come in Del Mar this weekend.
Great to be on set with you. Nice, safe and sound. You mentioned some breaking news yesterday that took place. So story that rocked the racing world, and sadly, Maggie, the fact that the Breeders' Cup Classic will be contested without the 6-5 morning line favorite, Kentucky Derby, Belmont Stakes, Travers winner, Sovereignty is out.
I was looking forward to this horse taking on older company so much in the Breeders' Cup Classic, but unfortunately he developed a fever. Tuesday he was treated, but just not responding well enough to Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott, to his estimation. So he is the horseman of all horsemen, and he decided to take Sovereignty out. And Megan, it really kind of is a little bit lackluster, but you can't fault Bill Mott for taking Sovereignty out.
Absolutely, and he has really prioritized this horse every step of the way as far as making the right decisions, even when it came to bypassing the Preakness, knowing this horse, knowing what is best for him. Michael Banahan of Godolphin and the entire Godolphin team alongside Bill Mott have been so astute and really following and knowing this horse and being able to make the right decisions by him. So he owes us nothing. He's been brilliant to be able to see on the racetrack. I know all of us have been able to see that brilliance at Saratoga over the summer. Hope to see him next year, but at this moment in time, we're just hoping for him to get better. Bill Mott has, been quoted to say, I don't even think he knows that he's sick. He's still taking his hay and getting to the bottom of his grain, so that's certainly hopeful news moving forward.
It's a major disappointment, but the show does go on, and now perhaps a more competitive Breeders' Cup Classic as you take a look at the field, and naturally the America's Best Racing's Race of the Week. You know the drill. It's a mile and a quarter, 3-year-olds and older, $7 million purse. And the revised morning line, Fierceness is the 5-2 morning line favorite. Forever Young number 5 in Sierra Leone. Co's second choice is now at 7-2. So the top 3 finishers, Maggie, from last year's Breeders' Cup Classic are back. Sierra Leone, there he is at Del Mar, trying to become just the second ever back-to-back Breeders' Cup Classic winner.
Well, and two, I feel like that's kind of a product that he's only trying to be the second one back-to-back, that so many of these horses are retired early. It's several years prior to this, we would have not seen him again as a 4-year-old after winning that Breeders' Cup Classic as a 3-year-old. So hats off to Chad Brown, the ownership team of Peter Brandt and John Magnier, so on and so forth. But last year, they went 44 and change to the half. So to say he got the setup of his dreams would be an understatement, Meg.
Absolutely, Maggie. But this year, of course, the highly publicized rabbit per se that you see there in contrary thinking, the number 4 with Florent Giroux aboard, who's ridden a rabbit, by the way, an Idea Generation in the Flower Bowl, for Chad Brown, does so again in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And to me, it sets the stage for an honest pace this year. I certainly don't believe them to be going as quickly as they did last year. And he faces some of the same exact faces, Fierceness, Forever Young, both right there, coming back back to make this a really cool redemption story, possibly for somebody circling back here again in 2025.
Yeah, Fierceness, Forever Young. You mentioned that hot pace. They were both close to that pace, running second and third in last year's Breeders' Cup Classic. And for Del Mar and Fierceness, what a performance in the Pacific Classic. He draws the rail again, Maggie, as he did in the Pacific Classic. And watch what happens at the start.
I mean, if this didn't result in a win, Lafitte, I'd be worried about the rail.
No.
Oh my gosh, talking about wearing a diaper, Johnny V. But I was scared. I literally watching that. And then he does this, guys. I mean, this is a horse that I thought if things didn't go his own way, if he faced a little bit of controversy, he threw in the towel. But we saw some controversy, obviously, and not getting away that smoothly and being his own worst enemy, and it still resulted in a win here and finishing in front of a talented 3-year-old in journalism, your Preakness winner from this past Triple Crown season. I think Fierceness really does love the West Coast.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, in 3 starts in California, 2 wins, and a runner-up, as we were just discussing, in last year's Breeders' Cup Classic. Meg, I think this is a horse that, if his confidence, which it should be high coming in off that Pacific Classic win, I think the sky's the limit because, 2, he's shown the ability to be comfortable rating.
Absolutely. That was always everybody's big problem with this horse. I think he's been almost over-scrutinized to an unfair degree. I think he's a brilliant animal when you just look at the resume. Being able to get the best in that Travers last year, so memorable with Torpedo, Anna, and Sierra Leone, and he's coming into his best form. And I think that, as Maggie had mentioned, being able to overcome some adversity, and while Todd Pletcher didn't exactly want to draw the rail, as he blatantly said, ends up getting the rail again, but he showed us last time that if he can manage himself in that kind of trouble, that he should be able to do so again. We'll see how he fares, and I do believe him to be sitting in a better spot than he possibly was last year.
All eyes on him from the rail and see how he breaks, see how he handles things. Fierceness for trainer Todd Pletcher, who also has Mindframe, who also has Antiquarian, Maggie. For those 2, their first appearance since that rodeo that was the Jockey Club Gold Cup closing weekend at Saratoga.
That's right, Mindframe and Antiquarian. Unfortunately, Mindframe, the loser in that discussion, as he and Irad Ortiz parted ways. Unfortunately, I think it was kind of an overreaction from the whole field outside of him, and therefore Mindframe, I mean, Irad bouncing onto White Abario's back for a couple strides, and literally like the motion from Mindframe, as Irad still had his reins in his left hand, pulled him and Edgar Zayas, who was coming off too, back to the inside. And so therefore, Edgar didn't fall off either, thanks to kind of Mindframe and Irad Ortiz. But you wonder, I mean, the biggest question mark coming out of that Jockey Club Gold Cup is Mindframe fit enough? Because let's face it, he doesn't run that often.
He doesn't. And we saw this as he kind of was tossed into the deep end a little bit as a 3-year-old, and he kind of did well in those races pretty much on raw ability alone. So right now I feel like is the time for his coming out party of sorts against the toughest field that he has faced to redeem off of that effort. I think he could be the key. To me, I do believe 1.25 miles to be his ultimate test. He's a Grade 1 winner at 7 furlongs, a Grade 1 winner going 9 furlongs. This is going to be the ultimate test if he can outfinish horses like Sierra Leone and Forever Young late.
Forever Young, a couple incredible performances here in the U.S., just missing in the Kentucky Derby, second in last year's Breeders' Cup Classic. Megan, where is Forever Young, in your opinion, right now, heading into Saturday's Breeders' Cup Classic compared to his form heading into last year's edition?
I think that if anybody watches the replay from this year's Saudi Cup, you would be remiss not to include this horse as one of the top contenders coming right back into this year's race. And he was ultra impressive to the point where if he is that kind of animal coming into this Saturday, he can come back and win this race. He's just one of those horses that I feel like kind of the forgotten third son a little bit, coming in and trying to dismantle Fierceness in Sierra Leone, but he has got every single ounce of talent. I do believe him to be one of the stronger contenders, and he's in my top 2 selections, that's for for sure.
I adore this horse, Lafitte. I am usually a homer. I like our American horses, especially on the dirt, but every time this horse is shipped to America, shipped to the Middle East, he shows up. And we saw horses that ran in Saudi for whatever reason, jury's still out on what actually happened as a negative, they did not show up in Dubai at Maidan. I don't know why. He arguably ran the best of any of them. You think about Straight No Chaser, who dominated in the sprint in Saudi, was a no-show in Dubai. Now, Forever Young in his comeback race in Japan, I'm not even going to attempt to say the name or the racetrack. I'll embarrass myself. But it was funny. They showed like a close-up of him. You can watch it on YouTube. And the kickback, the surface there must be so taxing and really harsh because his eyes were closed and he was like running like, oh my gosh. He got in the clear, took over, and won with something left under wraps. I thought it was such a great prep for this Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah, freshened up now and ready, looking to build off of that runner-up finish, third place finish in last year's Breeders' Cup Classic, Forever Young. A race shape now with the absence of sovereignty, Megan. How does that change things, and what does the race look like on paper when you're talking about a defending champ in Sierra Leone who had that nuclear pace to work with last year?
Well, Sovereignty has certainly been able to define himself throughout the year. He was kind of closing, we saw in the Kentucky Derby, and has been more tactical as the year has gone on. So he wasn't exactly going to be right there on the pace, but Sovereignty was going to get the jump on a horse like Sierra Leone. And now he doesn't have that monster to deal with. He'll certainly have some tactical horses. Antiquarian will be their Mindframe. And I think the same kind of pace players, Fierceness, of course, the Rabbit, and Contrary Thinking, will be right there on the lead. I think that the pace is not necessarily overly, the dynamics I don't find are completely shifted about. I think it's just one less horse to deal with for a horse like Sierra Leone. But to be completely honest, I think that in terms of the betting in this race, it does completely skew things and could certainly kind of rearrange people as far as establishing who they want to ultimately go with in this race.
42nd running of the Breeders' Cup Classic on Saturday, day one tomorrow with the 2-year-olds, 14 Breeders' Cup events, over $34 million in purses out west at Del Mar. As for our racing, again, the program canceled at Aqueduct, so it's all Horseshoe Indie all the time. Raining there as well. No turf racing. Muddy, around 49 degrees, and nearing post time for the first race out at Horseshoe Indie. Today's race is brought to you by Claiborne Farm, 100 years doing the usual unusually well. And as always, despite the fact we're not racing, the invite still stands to get involved. Join NYRA Today. Get a $25 free bet plus a $200 deposit match bonus just in time for the Breeders' Cup World Championships. Use code CUP25. Sign up now at NYRABets.com to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit match bonus. You ready for some Horseshoe Indie? Because they're about ready for post time that we have just reached. Again, in the mud, mile and 70 yards, a $5,000 maiden claimer. And we kick off a post parade here with Tikak as the first one you'll see, who is the even money favorite. Last pair were in the slot for Tikak, pictured.
It gets the slop yet again. The blinkers come off. Certainly looking to improve, but gets the class relief in order to do so and should be mid-range stalking as far as the pace is concerned.
Actually, a good track 2 starts back then. Number 3 in Gimel, the Indiana bred, an 11-race maiden. But
yeah, as far as the Indiana bred and Gimel, again, another to take the class drop. It needs to get a touch faster to get the better of the likes of the one, but in the mix here.
Saw Bizarro, first dirt route, then number 5, The Boot, and by a Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner in Nyquist.
And this is kind of a race made up of horses that are their defining moment here, dropping in class to the maiden 5, and this is so what this horse is doing.
King Hazelton, great name, named after the legendary trainer. No post-parade participation for Maggie, moving too quickly. Then Ballycotton Bay to the outside at 6-1.
I know.
It's okay. I have nothing to say about King Hazelton other than Scott Stapp.
well backed, the number 7. Will certainly have to take a huge step forward to contend with horses making the drop in class.
That's the field. Post time for the opener. We welcome in Rachel McLaughlin, standing by at Horseshoe Indie. Rachel, you're having about as much luck as we are today with the weather in Shelbyville.
Yeah, but I'm going to keep them running for you guys. You guys did not get the day off, though. Love all the insight on the Breeders' Cup, but trying to give you a little insight on this first race. First, let me tell you, I was just laughing with everyone here in the paddock. When it's 55 degrees in the spring, we're all in shorts, and now it's 50-some degrees right now, and I'm in 3 layers, my winter coat, gloves, and I have hand warmers in my pocket, but very breezy and chilly today for the card. Hopefully we can keep the rain at bay. We did have some this morning, but I'm not seeing any more in the forecast. In this race, you know, it's a bottom level maiden claimer, so I went around and kind of talked to everybody. We're going to start here with the favorite, which is my top selection, the one TCAC. I'm not super I don't know Joe Trejos very well. He says he's ridden at Churchill. He's from Panama. He's been at Gulfstream Park, ridden for everybody. Safi. He's really seems like a nice guy, and he said he likes this horse on the drop, obviously. 2 back was on a good track at Belterra and was second. He's definitely looking for him to be involved kind of early. He said that he gets in trouble and he almost gives himself too much to do, is what Bentley Combs, the trainer, said. He said that he's been training really well, so that's why they decided to take the blinkers off today, and he's glad that Joe Trejos came to ride for him as well. And then I did get over to the 5, Thaboot. This one gets Victor LeBron up for Richard Estevanco, another one that I hadn't actually met in person. Very happy to meet him. Obviously, the drop down his class, they're just trying to get the win, has been racing at Belterra. Did let me know he's just a little bit hard to handle, but again, with this off going, it does look like he's got a little bit of breeding to be able to take it. You know, he's bred to Love It, Nyquist, and a Bernardini mare, and with that combined with the class drop, definitely looking to be able to finally break the maiden here today, but did say he's a little hard to handle. So one of those ones that just, you kind of want to get them to the winner's circle if you can, and the drop might help some of these, really. And there's a lot of horses dropping here. And then I would just throw in probably Gemmel, the 3, Evan Roman, 991, trying to approach his 1,000th win milestone for trainer Scott Mullins, you guys.
Milestone on the horizon, 1,000 wins. See if he can inch closer with Gemmel. Rachel, thanks so much. 5-2, Gemmel. TCAC, as Rachel accurately pronounced. The 6-5 favorite. Any final thoughts as they have reached the starting gate?
TCAC, I suppose, was flattered by the fact that Edifice, who finished just in front of him last time, came back to win with the 59, you know, and it could set up favorably, as we heard Rachel talking about race dynamics, because it feels like Thaboot, as she was saying, is pretty revved up, is the confirmed speed on paper, but what's Bizarro going to do stretching out in distance for the first time on the dirt? He has been forward, at least in some of his turf races, going longer.
TCAC, even money. Go ahead.
As far as these horses, you're definitely trying to find who's at the right time in their form, especially on these cheaper, lower level claimers, for sure.
Ready to rock and roll at Horseshoe Indie. John G. Dooley standing by with the call. Post time for the opener.
Here for Bentley Combs and Charles Gerber. Thaboot coming up for Estevanco and Scott. King Hazelton. Jerry Dixon Jr., the conditioner. And Ballycotton Bay, second race off the layoff, will load up to the outside for Randy Klopp and Fernando de la Cruz. They are at the post. They are racing at Horseshoe Indie. King Hazelton bounces out on top. Ballycotton Bay will flash speed to the outside there in second. Takach with the blinkers off the pace today is third and about 4 off the pace. Thaboot settles along in the 4th position on the run around the first turn. Then we trail back about 2.5 lengths to Bizarro, looking to make the 7th start, the lucky one, and the Indiana-bred Gemmel is at the pack of the pack. 7 lengths from top to bottom. They work around the turn. They turn up the backside with 6 furlongs to travel in the opener at Horseshoe Indie. And And up top, a headstrong King Hazelton showing the way. Ballycotton Bay pressures up to the outside. Meanwhile, Victor LeBron and To Boot tracking those leaders from third. 2 lengths further back, Takach is fourth at about 5 off the pace. The Indiana bred Gimmel is up a spot, and Bizarro is sixth and trailing. They continue to run up the backside. They pass the half-mile stage. The first quarter, 23-4. The half-mile controlled tempo here, 48-1. Ballycotton Bay has been released as King Hazelton goes on in front by a length and a half. To Boot to the outside from second. Takach is catching the eye. Here comes Takach in the black and gold along the inside. He's going to have to work out a trip as Bizarro loops up to the outside as the complexion changes. Here comes Takach. Takach to the inside and Bizarro to the outside. King Hazelton just got passed on both sides as they reach the top of the home stretch. 3/4 in 1:14, and they turn on down for the money. Here's Bizarro right up to the outside of Takach with a furlong to go. Bizarro to the outside. Takach is battling back to the inside. Here's Takach up the inside and down the center. Gimmel, the Indiana bred, is coming with giant strides after Takach. Here's Gimmel up and after Takach, and Gimmel runs by them all. A last to first victory here. Just edges out Takach. It was a half a dozen links back to Bizarro and King Hazelton, and that's the opener from Horseshoe Indie in 1:45-3.
Jim McNerney on the mic out at Horseshoe Indie, and Gimmel on the outside, graduating in his 12th career start.
And his first start outside of Indiana bred company as he drops to this lowest level for maidens. Gets the win here. Meg, he was looking good rallying as the top two just couldn't see out the 6 furlongs. Mile and a 70.
They could not, and he certainly seemed like the beneficiary of that as he has had experience doing so, caught the right group, and they did. They managed to kind of stop right there late for him to take that opportunity and score there.
Heard Rachel pre-race. Gimmel, Evan Roman closing in on a milestone victory. Number 992 takes place in the first out at Horseshoe Indie. 3-1-4-6 results when we come back. Plus, New York-breds in the Breeders' Cup. Iron Orchard introduced to her this summer Saratoga, now a Grade 1 winner, vying for a championship. And Rhetorical, Keeneland's Turf Mile winner, a threat in the Breeders' Cup Mile. You're watching America's Day at the Races.
The Cup is calling at the Breeders' Cup with Naira Bets. Download the Naira Bets app or sign up at nairabets.com to get a $25 free bet and $200 deposit match bonus today. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, and boost your bankroll with lucrative promotions. Play the Breeders' Cup World Championship with Naira Bets. New players sign up now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit match only with Naira Bets.
Welcome back. America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2 is always brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Visit NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app to get started. Here in New York City, racing canceled, but we'll be right back at it tomorrow afternoon. First post 105 for the Halloween program. 8 races,
I'm
I
dressing
believe,
up.
tomorrow. You are. What are you coming as?
I am Posh Spice.
There you go.
How is that
children
different from
and-
any other day?
The hair? Of course.
Is she
Like a leather like a leather suit.
Well, actually,
head
similar to
toe.
what you're wearing right now, but with the. Actually, I'll be Posh Spice / Megan.
You'll be
tomorrow.
Megan.
Honestly,
You'll be Megan.
that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, Maggie.
Tricky segue back to Gimmel, but here we are, 1260 in the end, and Evan Roman, victory number 992. Gimmel breaking through in his 12th career start, and softer company today, Maggie, but still paid.
Yeah, I don't. I would say he got the right setup, and maybe he did. You know, with the front two, the 1 and the 4, who was the 1 to 2 favorite in the end, and T-Koch, they just kind of dueled themselves into submission. He came with big bounding strides to get the win, and first step out of Indiana-bred company.
It's impressive, and listen, I grew
Relatively
up,
speaking.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on those types of claiming
Same, girl,
races
same.
at Lone Star Park, right down there in South Texas. Mom, you and I, we've been on many a rail watching those kinds of hardworking horses run. So good for Gimmel, and nice closing run. That was impressive to me. It's very impressive.
It was impressive when we had a Breeders' Cup at Lone Star Park. That's been 21 years back in 2004. The Breeders' Cup returning to Del Mar tomorrow, day 1. First of 14 Breeders' Cup races, and the New York-breds that will be competing. A look at Iron Orchard, the Grade 1 winner, seeking a championship for trainer Danny Gargan. Rhetorical in the Breeders' Cup Mile, and what you're talking about in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. We start with Iron Orchard, that debut win at Saratoga. Megan, and this score in the Frizette right here. What do you make of her chances of the undefeated New York-bred filly?
Listen, I have become a little bit of an East Coast homer throughout my year of being with you guys here, and I loved the way this filly ran last time out here at Aqueduct in the Frizette. She showed a new dimension and is as 2-year-olds, especially entering these Grade 1 type tests. You want to see them be able to show different dimensions. That's exactly what she did. That was a loaded race, lots of speed. She sat off of it, and Joelle being able to get her on the outside and being able to run down a really game filly and Riley Toll for the Safi Joseph barn, who I thought ran a huge race there as well. She will not resurface, but you know, Maggie, I thought this was a fairly wide open event, just given what your opinions are on the likes of Tommy Joe,
Right.
Iron Orchard. You know, it's pretty wide open.
Exactly. And, you know, going into this race, nobody has run particularly fast. Look, they're young 2-year-old fillies. They have that opportunity to do so in a race like this. So, as you mentioned, it kind of leaves it as an open-looking field. Now, Explora, she'll come in here as the 5-2 tepid choice for Bob Baffert. She comes in off a win in the Grade 2 Oakleaf. Obviously, her first 2-turn test, which she responded really well to. Tommy Joe, who I would love, she was disappointing last time at Keeneland. I know she was DQ'd to the victory. I don't think she was ever winning that race.
That was in the Alcibiades at Keeneland. Also that weekend, the Turf Mile. Rhetorical, New York-bred. Maggie, Grade 1 winner at Keeneland. What do you make of his chances? How is that effort, the win in the Turf Mile at Keeneland, good enough to make him a contender, considering the European competition, etc.? What it takes to win a Breeders' Cup Mile?
100%. This horse is competitive in this Breeders' Cup Turf Mile. He has, other than early on in his career not getting out of the gate well, he has rectified that. Will Walden has done a fabulous job with training this horse. I mean, what has he done wrong? I know before this victory in the Coolmore Turf Mile, he was beating New York-breds, but that's okay. He was beating them fast and impressively, and he was impressive in that Coolmore Turf Mile. And you know, furthermore, it's not like the Europeans, the foreign horses, have that much of an advantage this year, Meg.
I agree. And, you know, I've been a huge proponent of the number 2 Notable Speech. He's just kind of one of my, he's
pets.
He is one of my pets that I waste money on from time to time. We all have those horses, but he's a class horse. He ran incredibly well last time out in the Woodbine Mile, and he's one of those types that he's kind of been a bit inconsistent of a customer throughout the year. He's definitely going to have to bring his best, but I agree with Maggie. And while we might be a little bit biased being able to see our New York-breds on the biggest stage in the world, I was in the paddock that day when he did run at Keeneland, and while he just looked absolutely incredible, I think he's just one of those horses that just gets better and better and really responds to the class that he involves himself in with each start. So I anticipate him running a credible race here in the Breeders' Cup Mile, and hopefully we'll be able to see a New York-bred edge out a win here.
Before we go to break, quickly, what does Red Ortiz do from that outside post? Draws the 11?
Hopefully what he did at Keeneland. I mean, he was post number 8 with the scratch. He broke forward, got position, and got over to save ground. Now, well, whether he'll be able to do that again, we'll have to see. And it was so funny. Andy Serling often says this, but after Rhetorical's first start, Andy Beyer texted and said, the horse would win the Arc with that performance.
That was amazing.
It really
Completely
was.
left, came flying late at Saratoga. Yes, the New York-breds making their presence felt in this 42nd Breeders' Cup World Championships as our coverage continues. And nobody started more Breeders' Cup runners than that gentleman. Aidan O'Brien, tied for most wins all time in the Breeders' Cup. World-class trainer, poised for a big weekend out west at Del Mar.
$1,600,000 $1,600,000 bid today, $1,600,000 bid now $650,000, $1,650,000, $1,650,000. Anybody else want $650,000 bid today, $1,650,000 now, $1,600,000. Thank you. Spine tingling, jaw dropping, awe-inspiring, Secretariat-like.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Beyer speed figures, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Weekends are for winners at NyraBets. Opt into the Late Pick 5 hit and split bonuses to claim your share of $5,000 every Friday through Sunday. $5,000 hit and splits every weekend when you bet with NyraBets.
And here comes Auguste Rodin with a furlong left to go. Up to the mark. These two are coming to battle it out. And from the back of the field, Onesto is starting to pick it up late. Auguste Rodin with a perfect ride from Ryan Moore will win the Longines Breeders' Cup Turf.
What a trip. Opened up on the inside. Ryan Moore won't be riding in this year's Breeders' Cup. All the damage he and Aidan O'Brien have done together. O'Brien looking to pad his stats in the Breeders' Cup Turf, and considering the fact that he is a trainer based overseas and no trainer in the world has started more horses in the Breeders' Cup than Aidan.
And it took him a while. I think, he found that there was success in numbers because it also felt, at the turn of the century, he was bringing over the best of the best to try to create marketable sires for America. So he was running the Giants Causeways, the Galileos in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And while they ran respectably, some of them, they just didn't win. So now he's kind of found his niche. He got his first Breeders' Cup win in 2001, Johannesburg.
Okay.
And
a
then,
dirt race, that was this was before we had the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. That was the traditional juvenile.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that one, worked.
Yeah.
As we have opened things up and made more turf races, so therefore that's led to a lot of his success. But you also look at a horse like High Chaparral and winning back-to-back turfs.
That dead heat with Joe Hart. Go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, no, but I think I was talking to you guys about this earlier. My favorite Aidan O'Brien moment, I think, had to be when his son Joseph rode St. Nicholas Abbey to a win in the Breeders' Cup Turf back, I believe 2011 at Churchill Downs. And he really just was such an incredible jockey. He managed to just lift those horses to the wire despite his size and his height. But I think that was probably one of my favorite moments. And he's just a dynasty. His sons and they are all in the business and are all very, very good at what they do.
Tied with the late, great D. Wayne Lucas. Most Breeders' Cup wins all time, 20. Will 21 be provided by Minihawk, the 3-year-old filly, serious contender in the Breeders' Cup Turf, runner-up in the Arc. Megan, how good of a filly are we talking about?
We might have to resort to Maggie on this, as she was there in the flesh. Very jealous of that at Longchamp. But Minihawk is obviously a 3-year-old filly trying to essentially make history in this race and going against a 7-year-old gelding and an earner of $15 million. So she's certainly got a huge task in this race, but I thought she ran pretty well. Not pretty well. This horse ran incredibly well, just missing in the Arc. But she's certainly a filly, I feel like, and I've heard Aidan O'Brien discuss her. She certainly meets her company and her class where they are. She improves as she, I feel as if the quality of horses around her get better. She feels that, and she takes those steps forward as well. And she's a filly that Aidan has mentioned will be able to get this route of ground around the bends, a different configuration she will face than what she's been doing in Europe, and she'll hopefully be able to also take to the firm surface at Del Mar. So things look to be going in her favor. Gets Christophe Soumignon, who doesn't have the experience as Ryan Moore as far as navigating these trips in the U.S., but I do think she's certainly formidable in this group.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Yeah.
All right, so I respect Minihawk. Aidan O'Brien, though, with horses coming back off of and shipping to America off of 3 weeks or less, he's 1 for 16. And that lone winner was Santa Barbara in the Belmont Oaks. And she was just meeting nobody. Like, she was just by far the best. Minihawk is a Frankel whom jury's still out on how successful Frankels are in America, whether it's just, our style of running, our, the way our tracks are built, the surfaces, it's very firm and tight out there at Del Mar. That could be a knock against her. And furthermore, while she's very well built, I saw her in the flesh there at Longchamp, she is a filly that gets herself really revved up. And Arc Day is Arc Day, but it's nothing like the Breeders' Cup and the energy that's out there.
That's something to watch, pre-race and everything leading up to post time. We know that when it comes to the American brand of racing for a horse based overseas, that Rebel's Romance, Maggie, has taken to everything beautifully, seeking yet another win in a Breeders' Cup Turf and prepping for it beautifully in the Joe Hirsch.
Oh my gosh, he was so amazing. These are the horses I just love. The longevity, right? He obviously is a gelding, so that has kept him on the racetrack for a while. And you see why he's a gelding once you see him in person, because he is just utterly massive. For a colt to be his size, it'd just be too much of him, too hard on himself. This was a tour de force here at our home track, the Big A, and just a lovely way for him to get back to American racing, kind of a stopgap from Europe and Germany, and he is truly the world traveler, but a nice progression of races when you look at geographically speaking, to now get over to California. He has tactical speed, which is always important when you're coming to America, especially out on the West Coast.
William Buick to ride, Megan, and how fitting. Gets to go right back to Del Mar, where he captured last fall's Breeders' Cup Turf.
Yeah, and he has such a relationship with this horse. I mean, he's been on him in most of his starts, and he's the type of horse that, come and catch me. He has the stamina that is so impressive. I was quite jealous of everybody that day because I didn't get to see him in the flesh, but he looked incredible, and he's a type of horse that, as we saw in the Joe Hirsch last time out, he kind of made an early move, and he does that. He likes to kind of get into it and get involved, and then he says, come and chase me, guys. He's going to outlast you as far as that stamina is concerned. So as Baggy had resorted to possibly some questions as far as the time in between races for Minihawk, you've got Rebels Romance, who you know is going to be able to grind it out, get that win as far as outlasting horses late. He is a finisher, and he is going to be extremely dangerous. Charlie Appleby doesn't seem to have an issue with the rail draw, and I don't really either.
Rebels Romance, can he capture a third Breeders' Cup turf for Minihawk, trying to become the third 3-year-old filly ever to win the Breeders' Cup turf, going back to Found in 2015, and Pebbles right here at Aqueduct, the lone Breeders' Cup at Aqueduct back in 1985. We'll find out. Breeders' Cup World Championships all coming your way. 14 championship races, more than $34 million. Segue back to Horseshoe Indie. Why not? With the second race in about 5 minutes. Much more on that second race and another look at the Breeders' Cup Classic and a Classic contender. How about Mindframe and how will he respond? And exiting that rodeo of a Jockey Club Gold Cup at Saratoga. Serious contender. Very, very good on his best day. Mindframe, 1 of 3 for Todd Pletcher in the $7 million Breeders' Cup Classic.
This proven son of Giant's Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, plus these standout performers. A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Happy Halloween, everyone. On the eve, right, of Halloween. Weather should clear up here in New York for the kiddos. Go out and trick or treat and not get blown off the streets. Getting nasty behind us. Coverage is always brought to you by Claiborne Farm, 100 years doing the usual, unusually well. Tricks and treats for Mindframe on Saturday. We'll see. And how will he respond to everything that took place in the Jockey Club Gold Cup? Maggie, you've watched him train since then. What caught your eye?
Just, you know, there's so much fluidity, there's so much continuity to this horse. You know, it's no wonder that he's been able to do what he has on the racetrack with limited starts. It's because he's such a good, workhorse. He goes out there and he does his job every morning. And there's no doubt about it. He is talented. I do agree with Megan. Where is his limit as far as distance? I remember picking him in that Churchill Downs just because I was really intrigued and on the positive end of the spectrum about him cutting back in distance. So without that race, and Todd Pletcher himself has expressed concern of that kind of complete prep race that he lacked in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Will he be fit enough for this Breeders' Cup Classic? It's definitely not an effort you want to be coming into the biggest race of your life on.
Absolutely not. But he's also a horse that we kind of described earlier has been kind of tossed into some of the deeper ends as we saw earlier on in his 3-year-old career. And you might think that watching his performance in the Belmont and going 1.25 miles that he possibly got a little tired that day. I'd agree with that. But at the same time, this is a horse that was so green, so young, being tossed into these kinds of Grade 1 events. I forgave him a little bit. And I do find him to be a versatile sort and one that is just breathing very, very rare air. We mentioned a Grade 1 win going the 7 furlongs in an incredibly challenging race, and I think that he is a really interesting sort coming into this classic.
Plus, he's a Maryland bred. Sorry.
Then there's that. Then there's that. Mike Rapoli, Todd Pletcher, Rod Ortiz. Of course, they've won a Breeders' Cup Classic before, 2019 with Vino Rosso. From a $7 million race, this purse, $18,500. Indiana-breds, $15,000 maiden claimer. You're looking at number 2, Bit of Justice, and the 3, Officer Gamble.
Yeah, comes in here kind of off the turf, or excuse me, off the turf as well, and he now gets back sprinting off that route try here.
Ditto Cat, tough sledding so far.
Another that is getting back to the 6 furlong distance, and he hasn't done a lot of running in his 4 starts.
Turbo Man, not much in his debut.
Does get Lasix, showed a little bit of speed. Wonder if he can last a little longer.
Cool Hunting, number 7, 5-1 for sale today.
Yeah, another one that needs to get a bit faster, but his 3-back race kind of gives me a little bit of a glimmer for him of interest.
And the odds-on favorite, Gray V to the outside, representing outside speed, 2-5 now.
That's right, Lafitte. Catch me if you can, but I don't like the fact that he was clear and he still got run down last time out.
2-5. Is he trustworthy? About to find out. Race 2, Horseshoe Indie. Racing Rachel is with us, standing by with more on a gelding. Poised potentially for a mild upset. Rachel, number 3, Officer Gamble. What can you tell us?
Yeah, the sun's come out too, guys. So, hey, some positivity going into this race. I thought maybe if you guys didn't want to eat that heavy favorite, I got a little bit of insight from Mitchell Merle, the jockey on the 3, Officer Gimbal. I love Mitchell Merle. He is a country boy through and through. He started out, for those of you who don't know, riding quarter horses. So on our quarter horse day, he's out here in his belt buckle and his hat and his boots watching, which I love. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of the slang. Best hops the drop, Rach. Come get you some, guys, is what he said. He's going to go out there and shoot for the lead and hope they can't catch him. But this is a big drop, like he alluded to, for the 3 and the 7 Cool Hunting, going down from maiden special weight. But the key here with the 3, I put this one, I did put it after the 8 in my selections just because he's been down to claiming before and didn't really show that much, in that race. So he worked him, though, on October 24th, Mitchell did, and he said it was a breezed in very comfortable, a smooth and comfy half. So he's definitely going to be gunning for the lead here. Moving on to the 8, Gray V. Tracy Wisner, I've known her since I was an intern. She knows a lot about horses. She's been in Indiana for a very long time. Obviously, this one, dropping down from a maiden claiming for 22 of 15 and was 3rd versus Tougher is why this one's getting so much action, you guys, from the bettors. She said, look, we've got a third-time starter. This one's got some speed. She just really hopes that he gets out of the gate good. He had a little bit of an awkward start, as you see in the notes a couple times ago. But you know what? She really wants him to get out and overcome that and hope that doesn't happen again because he's never had dirt thrown in his face. She said, Rachel, I'm a little nervous about, how he's going to react if he doesn't get out of there fast, and he's got lots of kickback coming back on him. So she's hoping to get out there, but she said he's got some speed, and she's looking for a winner's circle picture here today, obviously, as everyone else had. is, and I do want to say, as they're heading to the gate, I learned all of my handicapping from my grandpa, not my dad. He knows nothing about horse racing, and he's watching us today, guys. I think it's the first time he's ever tuned into races, the America's Day at the Races. So, hey, Dad.
How cool is that?
That's great. We
And
didn't get his name.
how proud he has to
I'd
be.
love to say hi, you know?
Mr. Racing Rachel.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, exactly. I thought Cool Hunting was a little bit interesting here. I mean, does have that one race, third start of his career, could find some excuses in his last few. And obviously, as Mitch Murrill said, best hops a drop.
Come get you some. Don't forget that part.
Come get you some. It's funny when he and my husband talk, it's like they're both speaking the same language,
No, they're not.
but they're not.
They're really not.
And
Gravy
they love
on the
each other.
outside.
Yeah.
Gravy, watch Gravy, as Rachel mentioned, the concerns about how well he gets out of the gate, something to watch and something you don't want looming typically when you're conceding 3 to 5. Gravy, the favorite, number 8. Post time for the second, live from Horseshoe Indie.
They are racing. Good start for the outside for Gravy, who broke like a shot. Also, quick into stride down on the inside. Bit of Justice on the run down the backstretch. Officer Gamble on the class drop away, racing in the third position. And then on the extreme outside, it's Cool Hunting, and a couple lengths further back as they continue to run up the backside to the trailer is Ditto Cat. So on the backside they go. They pass the half, and it's the favorite, Gravy, who's in front, 2.5 lengths to Cool Hunting there from second. Officer Gamble to the inside, racing in the third. A couple lengths further back to the inside, Bit of Justice is second last, and at the back of the pack still is Ditto Cat. Midpoint through the turn at 4 to 5, Gravy, the gray son of Unbridled Express, has the target on his back. He's in front, a length and a half to Turbo Man there from second. A length and a half further back, Officer Gamble's third. Cool Hunting tips to the outside from fourth. Top of the home stretch, and Gravy off the turn in front by 2. Turbo Man in the orange cap is second to the inside. Officer Gamble third. Cool Hunting back into fourth, and a link for the back to Bit of Justice outside the 16th pole. Gravy is in front by 2. Up the inside comes Officer Gamble, but 4 to 5 goes coast to coast. Gravy, it's graduation day. Gravy won by about 2.5 in the end. Mitchell Murrill and Officer Gamble got up to be second there over Turbo Man third, and Bit of Justice was fourth.
No concerns, no worries, nothing to worry about. Tracy Wisner, Gravy, the favorite, delivers, does not disappoint. And he's second, but Horseshoe Indie is a shock.
And well done by Fernando de la Cruz of just rationing out those fractions. Got, things about the same as last time, internally speaking with the fractions. But at the end of the day, he just proved to be best, and obviously some racing experience aiding his chances today.
Wiring a field, get to the front end and go. That's exactly what he did. What he was looking to do as far as avoiding that kickback, and got the job done.
Turbo Man, 51-1, completes the try.
That'll work. 8, 3, 6, 2. In the second Horseshoe Indie, we'll have those results forthcoming. Live racing continuing. Horseshoe Indie, in case you're just joining us, Aqueduct canceled. We'll be back at it tomorrow afternoon, plus a look ahead to much more with tomorrow being day 1 of the 42nd this summer at Saratoga. It's carried through the fall and a strong Breeders' Cup contingent that he has going with the 3 in the Breeders' Cup Classic, also the strong 2-year-olds as well. Of his entrance, there you see the lineup, Richie, from Tommy Joe and Celebrity Warrior, both in the Juvenile Fillies. Time to Dream in the Juvenile Fillies Turf. Ted Naffy, the favorite in the Juvenile. Antiquarian Fierceness, Mindframe in the Breeders' Cup Classic. So my question to you, will Todd Pletcher visit the Breeders' Cup Winners Circle in 2025?
Well, I believe so. I think he's got a very strong lineup. I think he's strong throughout. I think, Maggie, I know we're both very high on Ted Naffy, but I think Fierceness, you're going to see the best of Fierceness.
It sounds like he's been training very well for this Breeders' Cup. And too, Richie, we were talking about it earlier, his West Coast races are his best.
By far and away his best. Seems he bounces over the top of that Del Mar surface.
Yeah.
For me, it's kind of gotten easy when he looks good, he's carrying good weight.
Right.
He runs well.
Yeah.
When he's not carrying good weight, that's when he throws in these clinkers. So maybe it's less about him overcoming adversity, which he showed he could do last time in the Pacific Classic. and it's more to do with how he is physically in that moment.
What's the mindset for Johnny Velasquez breaking from the rail again as he did in the Pacific Classic, giving what he did at the start of the Pacific Classic, ducking in shortly after the start?
Well, that's a concern, right? You got to worry about him doing that little dipsy doodle again at the break, and you don't want to give anything away, particularly as deep as this Classic is. He'll have his attention. He'll do everything he can to kind of thwart him taking that step to that empty space. And then it's just about getting your position going forward. There's going to be the rabbit in there, contrary thinking. Come out running enough so by the 8th pole, you've made the rabbit commit to that lead. Create separation. He goes, then forget about him. Put your horse in the clear and ride the race as though you're in front. Control from second. Anybody wants to go inside you, they run the risk of getting ridden right up in behind the rabbit. If they want to come around you, well, I'm going to pack here in the 3 or 4 path, and if you want to make an early move, I'm going to keep you here. I think it's a great position for him to just control the race from Kendrick Carmouche on Phineas 5. He'd have been better off just letting the rabbit go.
Maggie, does he knock down another, at least another?
I mean, I think his shoo-in is Ted Noffey in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, because he is a horse that I thought was just so devastating. Obviously, he's 3 for 3, but in his 2 greatest stakes performances, he destroyed those fields. And I remember after the Hopeful, Johnny couldn't pull him up. He couldn't pull him up on the gallop out. He couldn't pull him up going back to the winner's circle. He needed Miguel Gutierrez to take him, to escort him. This horse has just been a beast, and kind of a testament, as you were mentioning his success in Saratoga, to Spendthrift as well. Obviously, this one's pretty near and dear to their heart, with Ned Toffee being a huge part of the team, and obviously this horse's namesake, but he just looks, to me, at least better than the rest. I think he's going to be very, very tough to beat in that Juvenile.
Yeah, I agree. From a physical perspective, he just looks best to me. His Hopeful was devastating. I mean, the way he drew away powerfully. And then it's the mental aspect of this. There's so many good horses that limit themselves by not having good minds.
Right.
He looks like he's got a great mind. He's just smart, waits for his rider's cues. He's got both the physicality and the mentality.
And that's what Todd has said about him, is that he's a horse that, he'll put you there, but you ask for it, and he waits for you to ask for it, and he delivers it. And 2, he just looks like he loves this. He looks like he loves running. His ears are always up. You see him in the paddock, ears are up. On the track, ears are up. And coming back to the winner's circle, he's just like, yeah. I love horses like that.
They run the Hopeful like every year, closing day, Saratoga. You don't always have that feel as a fan when a 2-year-old does what he did on closing day at Saratoga. That's when that could be the start of something special.
You felt it. You totally felt that on September 1st, 2025. Ted Noffey.
Ted Noffey, the one to beat. And for trainer Todd Pletcher, looking for that 16th and see how much damage he does in his 42nd Breeders' Cup World Championships with his 2-year-olds and that big 3 in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Back to Horseshoe Indie. Horses on track, race number 3. Looking forward to this one with the 2-year-olds. And Daytona Den, who you were touching on, Maggie, and the pedigree, and 9-5 now, 2 minutes out.
That's right. As he did cost a pretty penny. He did work 10-1 at the OBS March sale. There he is on track. What I've noticed, I've actually watched his workouts leading into this Lafitte, is that he's green. See, he wants to get up on the pony too, so we'll see how professional he is from the rail.
Another fresh face, Obolus.
Yeah, nice steady work tab coming into this. This is the first foal out of this mare. Not taking a tremendous amount of money.
Silent Horizon, 3-race maiden.
This is a step up from maiden 25, that's for sure.
10-1 currently. Then Sierra Power, 4-race maiden, in the money in 2 of those.
Yeah, but also stepping back up after a 4th against maiden 30s. Does bring speed.
Ray, first-time starter, Vaporizer.
I like this workout from the OBS Open sale in June. $50,000 for the son of Cairo Prince. The dam did win her first start as a 2-year-old too.
You're quick. Back to the main track where he did show some quicks in his debut at Ellis.
Yeah, but I'm a little surprised, honestly, that this horse wound up favored here. I mean, he hasn't shown that much, I think, to justify 6-5. Maybe it's connections and that he's faced arguably better.
I would say, and maybe too, the one they feel as though he needs a race, but you know who we go to for that?
To Rachel.
Boom.
Trackside at Horseshoe Indie.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks, Mags. I heard you before the break actually talking about the one $400,000, purchase. I'm not going to parrot you too much, but did see that the dam never did try dirt. The number 1 Daytona Dan into Mischief by Candy Drawer, Candy Ride. She was on the turf, so that's a little bit of a question mark, but this horse is a full sister to Into Chocolate. You just mentioned was a good grade 3 runner and multiple stakes place winner. So Ethan West, love him. He's had such a great year with the Kentucky Derby, Triple Crown Trail. Really rooting for him as he's been here in Indiana for many years. Brother to Aaron West, one of our top 5 trainers here out the track in Indiana. Just kind of interesting on the rail. The money, though, going to the 8. I did love, and I'm sure I heard someone say how filled out the 5 was. Man, that horse, the boys were talking about it. Chris said that horse doesn't miss a meal. Chris Emig, the trainer, or I'm sorry, the jockey for the 5 Vaporizer. And I said, hey, I love me a fat 2-year-old. They are fit, they are big. It shows that he's growing, and I just love to see it. So the dam here was 2 for 3 as a 2-year-old. Capture Your Dream, and won the Florida Sire Stakes. But Chris Emig, the jockey, again, just said she's working good. There's a first time for everything. He said with these 2-year-olds, you never know, but he's a really well-behaved guy, and he's never been ponied before, he said. So if you guys didn't notice, as soon as he could get away from that pony, Chris said this is the plan, and we're showing him now. He got him away. He's over here. I think he said, I'm just going to keep him calm, hope he gets a good break, and we'll see what happens. But when these horses are going for the first time, you just kind of got to see how they're acting, and he looks really good. He's moving good. Chris is keeping him calm, ears pricked forward. I think, physically, the look of the 5 the most.
Fat horses can win on debut, too.
If only fat people could, too. No, kidding. Chris Amy, a husband to Brittany Vandenberg, I believe, or I don't know, they've been together for a very long time. So they do have that, intimate relationship, especially with working with these horses. And I do like the fact that, despite not knowing what a pony's all about, and Chris knowing that, he's been very professional on track, Meg.
Yeah, he looks like he's very well schooled, was good with the pony. And, it feels like everybody's searching a little bit. Again, 7-5 on the 8, You're Quick, just, maybe he'll win, just seems a bit out of line. And for the record, I did win a race for Carmela on a horse named Jimmy Simonton right here at Aqueduct by a nose.
Yeah.
Beat Ruben Hernandez,
So
no small feet, one of the strongest finishers ever. I put him up there with Lafitte and Angel. And it was for Green Tree, Mrs. Whitney.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So she let you back in the house.
Yeah, well, if I didn't win, it might have been a problem. Sleeping on the couch.
Salty.
That's
like you, I'm a little. I see Rachel picked the 8, You're Quick. On the surface of things, it kind of felt like he was a little bit more meant for turf. I mean, Yorkton, while doesn't have that many starters, his best stats come with turf sprinters. And look, in that turf race at Kentucky Downs, it's such a, standalone place. It's an outlier when it comes to being able to handicap those races. And bringing it back, he was participating in graded stakes up at Saratoga as a maiden. So he had every right to win that race. And I've just seen so many times where horses that are out wide there at Kentucky Downs not perform well. So they're going back to the dirt. I get it. Could possibly and potentially be an easier spot. But to take him as a 7-5 favorite, I thought was crazy.
Yeah, I just didn't anticipate that. I kind of, like you, Maggie, thought the 1 Daytona Dan would wind up going off favored.
Doesn't that feel cold? He's a second choice, but doesn't it feel cold to give a $400,000 Into Mischief first-time starter?
Considering the price tag and his pedigree. And the mare not only had Into Chocolate, she's had 4 winners from 5 starters, and 2 of them won on debut. And I look at that because I want to see that there was some precocity in the family.
I agree. And so Kentucky is great. You can see their workouts, at least from Keeneland and Churchill. And I've watched this guy's last 2 heading into here. He's been working with a horse who has experience. He's a charmer and Daytona Dan's been on the inside. He's had those blinkers on. And Irad was actually up for his last breeze. And Irad, went to his crop several times through the lane, driving on him as well. So he just looks very green, very not uneducated, because I think Ethan does a great job. Very slow mentally, possibly, in his own right.
Standing quietly in the gate, Daytona Dan is in, but the favorite to the outside. You had a final thought, Richie?
Well, just interesting, the rider on Daytona Dan with the post one has his crop in his left hand, so he's braking with all that empty space to the inside, and obviously he must be aware that this horse is a bit green still.
Yeah. I wonder what the 2 does here. Not taking much money for Lindsey Schultz, but watching his workouts, at least going back a ways, very professional and by himself. So I'm really intrigued to see what these first-time starters do.
2-year-olds, post time, race 3, Horseshoe Indie.
Just waiting on York-breds to the outside from the Shreed of Obarn. Blinkers go on. This 2-year-old gelding as he goes in. Field for race 3 at Horseshoe Indie. And they are racing. Sluggish beginning for debuting Vaporizer. It was a quick start for Sierra Power, who's flashing speed up through the inside now. There goes Daytona Dan, that half to into chocolate, coming to dictate terms there with Silent Horizon, who's fleet-footed as well. York-breds with the blinkers on. Pink Cap hovering to the outside while racing fourth. Obelisk on debut is fifth, and behind that quartet as they start to cluster up. Vaporizer is last, but the sextet covered by just 3.5 lengths midpoint through the turn. Wide open affair here. The quarter 22 and 4. In 4 wide, here comes York-breds up and after the pace setters. Sierra Power in the black cap to the inside. Daytona Dan between those two. Silent Horizon starting to warm up for the backfield. The gray Vaporizer top of the home stretch. Here's York-breds coming to tackle Sierra Power. York-breds with a narrow lead. Sierra Power battling back, 1 furlong to go. Here comes Obelisk, who's found his feet. He's coming at him and coming on, and Obelisk trying to split horses as Vaporizer is running a big one to the outside. Here comes Vaporizer up and after York-breds. These 3 in a thriller. Thrilling stretch drive. A trio of horses hit the wire. Nostrils up and down. York-breds was to the inside. The gray Vaporizer to the outside. Debuting Obelisk.
A thriller. 3 of them battling to the wire. York-breds to the inside. Vaporizer to the outside. Obelisk in his debut battling bravely.
And that's why experience matters. The 2 first-time starters who were able to sit back off a contested lead early in here, Mig. The 2 Obelisk who did not switch leads, and Vaporizer, I thought, same thing, you know, showing a lack of professional, a lack of fitness. That's why you're able to see things out.
Yeah, and that's a kind of a crazy angle, but it certainly looked like the 8 York-breds had the best of it from the angle we have, right? And actually, the 5 Vaporizer did change leads correctly at the top of the stretch, but went back to his left lead inside the 16th pole, and I think that cost him.
I do too. You know, it could. Well, here's a question for you. I find that horses on the turf do it more because they're looking for different gears, and it's easier just to bounce off and switch leads. But when you're dealing with, you know, dirt horses and they switch back, is that finding them more energy, or is that just, you know, leading to failure?
Yeah, I think they're trying to find more, and there's just nothing more to find. And as a rider, there's nothing you can do at that point. You're just riding to go forward. You're not going to try to get them to switch back and throw them more off balance.
You're quick enough on this afternoon to graduate. Back-to-back wins. Fernando de la Cruz, Cherie DeVoe, winning trainer. 8-5-2-1, Horseshoe Indie. When we come back, more on Sovereignty, the star of this Breeders' Cup, the 65 morning line favorite in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Defected, sidelined. Hopefully, you see him back in action before long.
Flightline is in full flight. Flightline turns it on at the top of the stretch, and he's in cruise control.
And Flightline takes off.
Take a good look at this, because you're not going to see this too often, maybe never again. Flightline, 20 lengths clear.
World-class racehorse, world-class performance at a world championship event.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
as they say.
Book 'em, Dano. Prince of Monaco in between. It's going to get very close. Book 'em, Dano.
If you can make it here,
Book 'em, Dano in a thriller. Book 'em, Dano wears him down. Book 'em, Dano. Under a perfect ride from Paco Lopez to win the True North.
you can make it anywhere.
It's Book 'em, Dano in another stellar display. Winning the Alfred G. Vanderbilt going away.
Bucaro, proudly standing in New York at Iron Horse Stallions.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Hey, Acacia.
Hey, Lafitte, what's up?
How are you?
Great. Bit tired.
Sure. She, Fernando de la Cruz entering the winner's circle, Horseshoe Indie. Welcome back, America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. Where we just watched an exciting two-year-old affair with your quick up in time Richie in a three-way battle to the wire.
Yeah, they put on quite a show. These horses really threw it down to the wire. The one horse, Daytona Dan, took all that money. He kind of tossed in the towel early, Maggie. You know, it's just so interesting, too, what you talked about, being able to have the ability to watch the workouts and kind of get a much better handle on how they're doing things.
And, too, even though he was working on the inside, drawing the rail with a horse like this, I just feel is not ideal. And Fernando de la Cruz gets his second win on the card in just 3 races.
Right back to Rachel at Horseshoe Indie.
You guys, I thought it was a 5, and I'm listening to you in my ear, and Maggie's talking about the 8 and the experience that it showed in that race. And you even thought, Jonathan, standing by with Jonathan Adams, assistant trainer to Cherie DeVoe, we both were a little nervous. And when they put up the 8, you were super excited.
Yes, I am. That was really exciting race right there. Like I said, we put the blinkers on him, and it definitely turned him up the switch. He broke clean as I expected on the dirt, and he did really well today. I like the way he moved.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us, and what an effort. Can't wait to see what he does next out.
Of course. Thank you for your time.
Back to you guys.
Rachel, thanks so much. They put it all together today. And the tinkering, Maggie, that goes on and trying to find out what works, what can really spark and get a 2-year-old going to find their best stride.
And, I mean, well done to Cherie and her team here, because this is a homebred, you know, and Cherie does have a lot of nice horses, well-bred horses in her barn, but this one's a homebred by a sire that I'm not that familiar with, to be quite honest, and she's able to get horses like this to the winner's circle because of that good horsemanship, because of tinkering and finding out what works. You know, so often I feel like we're so, as you guys often say, results oriented, in that we want, you know, them to win. But sometimes it's about the development.
Sure, and they're works in progress. And then it's obviously the horsemanship side of it, but the management side of it, trying to go to a place where maybe we'll be a little bit more competitive here in Indiana, as we, you know, as opposed to what we were in Kentucky, and just finding those places where a horse can succeed.
Yeah.
Daytona Dan, the $400,000 first-time starter by Into Mischief, felt a little bit cold on the board and performed accordingly. We'll see what happens with him moving forward.
I wonder if they try the turf.
Something different.
Yeah.
It's kind of an even effort today.
Moves that way. Yeah.
$7,500 claimers. Next, race number 4, 5 furlong sprints. Take out numbers 7 and 9. Look at that board.
What?
Keeping it classy. You get 4-to-1 favorites in the Derby. You have a 4-to-1 favorite in this next coming up race, 4th race, Horseshoe Indie. Back to the Breeders' Cup Classic. Perhaps you're just joining us with the Breeders' Cup getting underway tomorrow afternoon. And a difficult, sad story that developed yesterday with the defection of Sovereignty, who will not run in the Breeders' Cup Classic as a result of a spiked temperature. His Hall of Fame trainer, Bill Mott, yesterday morning on what exactly took place leading to the defection of the Derby Belmont Travers winner.
I'd mentioned, I said if he respikes another fever, he'll be out of the Breeders' Cup. And yesterday afternoon, about 3 o'clock, he respiked another fever, even though he'd had some medication in him from 6 o'clock that morning. He respiked another fever, and we retreated him, and of course now he's on antibiotics. Seems to be doing well this morning. His temp's down to just 1 tick above normal, and he looks bright and looks pretty good. But he's definitely out of the Breeders' Cup. I mean, there's no, he'll be scratched. He still has not missed an oat. He's in his hay bag. He eats all the hay and alfalfa that's on the ground, and he goes to his hay bag, and he's got his nose in there, and he seems to have a good attitude. I mean, he doesn't. I don't know if he knows he's sick. There's nothing that I would have changed. There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, when it comes to something like this, I think it's just really bad luck. I think you've got viruses and bacteria floating around through the air, and for whatever reason, his immune system probably didn't battle it off, and it's just really bad timing for us. I mean, we would love to run. We'd love to showcase our horse. I know there was a lot of people that were really looking forward to seeing him run, as well as our entire team. I mean, we were very anxious and excited about the opportunity to run, and probably what is, shaped up to be probably one of the best, Breeders' Cup classics in some time, or arguably that way. And but we won't have that opportunity this year.
A missed opportunity indeed. Incredibly disappointing. The star of the Breeders' Cup, the star of the sport, Sovereignty, out of the Breeders' Cup Classic, as we are now joined by Acacia Clement, who is at Del Mar. Acacia, we're never on the same coast at the same time. This news that broke yesterday with Sovereignty being there at Del Mar, what has the reaction been from everyone looking forward to this Breeders' Cup and Breeders' Cup Classic?
I think everybody, even those that are competing in the race or were set to compete in the Breeders' Cup Classic Lafitte against Sovereignty, just feel disappointed and feel bad about the situation. These things do happen where horses will spike a temperature or have a fever, especially after traveling. And it really came about after his work at Del Mar, where it had been Bill's idea to give him some time to settle. And obviously it was with the proper intention, and just unfortunately did not work out physically for Sovereignty, coming down with that illness at a bad time. And so I think you just feel bad. Obviously, with these horses, all of the steps have been taken to make sure that they travel well, to make sure that they're going to be ready in peak fitness and peak health for this Breeders' Cup. So yes, of course, it's disappointing. The health and the safety and the horse is first and foremost, of course, for everybody involved. But I think it's a very natural emotion as well to just feel bad that we're going to see him out of, as Bill mentioned, what is shaping up to be such an exciting Breeders' Cup Classic. You never like to see it happen this week, and it is something that does take place. Sovereignty just looking a little bit dull, but great to hear that he is still in the feed bag, and saw Bill Mott come by on the other side of the shed row where we are, and he was on the pony this morning, and he was smiling and taking it all in stride and just really handling it all with so much class. As of course I'm sure it is an immense disappointment for him and for his entire team that's put so much work into getting him ready for this big weekend. Of course, I think we're all hoping that we'll get a chance to see Sovereignty race again. Was really looking forward to it, but fingers crossed we will get at least some of his 4-year-old season as well.
Acacia, thanks so much. Sovereignty. Del Mar has not been kind to Bill Mott. Cigar, where his winning streak ended, defeated by Darren Go in the Pacific Classic. Won't have the opportunity to run Sovereignty in the Classic. Richie, for so many close to this horse, this super horse season he's had this year. For Junior Alvarado, for a jockey, what's it like getting that phone call that something's amiss, and the start in a race like that for a horse like that is in jeopardy?
Oh, that's a punch in the stomach. I mean, you're so excited. You're so looking forward to it. You're riding the favorite in our richest race in North America. You're excited, and then to get that call, you're just very, very disappointed. Grateful for everything you've accomplished with the horse so far this year. Disappointed that you didn't get to put the cherry on top of the sundae.
It's so true. And like I said earlier, it just goes to show all the things that need to go right for a horse just to make it into the gate. There's so many variables with training horses, with taking care of these magnificent animals that, you know, all have to line up and go correctly for them to, like I said, just participate in a race and be successful. So, you know, it's no surprise to me, Acacia saying Bill Mott taking it all in stride, because Bill Mott, he's a Hall of Famer. He has done this song and dance. He has had his fair share of disappointments throughout his career. So, as he said, there is more to look forward to in the future.
He's won multiple Breeders' Cup Classics, going back to Cigar, Drosselmeyer as well. The misfortune for Sovereignty's team. Sovereignty also represents opportunity for others, Maggie. What does this do? What does this mean in terms of horses? The chase for a championship? Horse of the Year honors. It felt like Sovereignty had a large gap on the rest going in.
Definitely for 3-year-old championship, which I'm sure he'll still attain. But this does, I think, open things up for Horse of the Year to possibly be won by somebody else. You know, you look at a horse like Sierra Leone, if he's able to come back and repeat, he very well could be Horse of the Year, despite not having that, you know, many wins to his 4-year-old resume. You look at a horse like Fierceness.
Yeah.
Could he be Horse of the Year?
I think if any one of the good 4-year-olds, Mindframe, Fierceness, Sierra Leone, win the race, they've got a strong argument.
It's a conversation.
Right,
yeah.
to be Horse of the Year. If any one of the 3-year-olds win it, Journalism or Baeza, then I think Sovereignty's a slam dunk to be Horse of the Year, because he's already proven to be the best 3-year-old. They have not been able to handle him.
Right.
And so I don't see him getting punished for not being able to compete. And when you talk about Bill Mott taking it in stride, youngest trainer ever inducted into Racing Hall of Fame, and he did it on one principle: the horse's welfare and well-being always comes first.
Yep.
John Gaines came up with the idea of the Breeders' Cup back in 1982. He wanted to create a horse racing event akin to a Super Bowl. Now, the Breeders' Cup, it's not the end-all, be-all, but it is the stage where championships are supposed to be decided. It's looked at more like a final exam. And Sovereignty, while you don't necessarily hold it against him that he's not running in the Classic, it just opens a door. It's just a conversation.
Sure.
And one of the 4-year-olds that you mentioned, if they win, at very least it is a conversation. First things first, they have to run the race. That'll take place on Saturday, the 42nd Breeders' Cup Classic. $7 million on the line, and all of a sudden you don't have to deal with the best horse, best dirt horse in training with the absence of Sovereignty. As our coverage here continues, and much more from Horseshoe Indie. 8 minutes out, race number 4. They're in the paddock. $7,500 claimers, 5-furlong sprint. And Prince of Pennies, not pictured. Prince of Pennies, though, Maggie, is the favorite at 2-1, number 4.
Yeah, he's going back after a failed turf try, much like he has in the past, not run as well on the turf. But back to the dirt today. He does have a 2-for-5 record when it comes to off tracks, 2 back. It resulted in a win, but you know, he's a horse that has graduated out of that non-3 life condition, Meg, that I often find they have a little bit of trouble when you're meeting open claimers.
Yeah, because you're meeting horses that have a limited amount of wins like you do, and now you can be facing horses that have 7, 8, 10 wins, right? Yeah. So it definitely gets more difficult. I guess this race has a lot of the look of his race 2 back in June when he won in the slop in Indiana, and he has really good speed on the dirt, and I think that's something that you want, particularly on days when the track isn't fast. It's got some moisture in it.
We'll check in with, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, to be fair, it's not like it's a speed biased track.
We'll check in with Rachel shortly. 4th race coming up, 6 minutes. All the stakes racing, all the championship implications out west. However, right here, Belmont at the Big A, busy with stakes racing as well. Tomorrow, 2-year-old fillies in the Tempted, the Nashua on Saturday, and 4 stakes races Sunday, closing out the weekend here. Belmont at the Big A. It starts early mañana. 2nd race, mañana means tomorrow, Maggie, in case you're wondering.
I took Spanish for 4 years. I should be much better, but I do know what mañana means.
5 of them, Richie, in the Tempted 2-year-old fillies, $150,000 purse. And Sakane installed as a 9-5 morning line favorite. Why is she the favorite?
Well, she was impressive, breaking her maiden, going 7 furlongs. Not an easy debut distance. And as you're going to see, she just puts on separation with every stride through the stretch. Safi Joseph does really good work. He's having a tremendous year, over 180 winners at this point. You got to think she's going to be very, very tough here, stretching out 1 more furlong to the mile.
I do agree with you there. We'll see, though. It feels like we haven't seen an abundance of success from horses shipping up here from Florida. We used to see it a lot, but it just feels like the racing there has been somewhat watered down throughout the years, where they're just not quite as competitive. But look, I like Safi Joseph's horses. They always look the part in the paddock.
Then you have Schilling in her third career start. Yeah, she had to work a little bit harder to graduate, Maggie, in her maiden win just a couple of weeks ago right here, Belmont at the Big A.
Yeah, she was pretty game to get this victory here for Kenny McPeak, whose success from Saratoga has spilled over to this Belmont at the Big A meeting, and partly due to having Jimmy Jerkins as his assistant here. Does not appreciate the crop. Big tail swisher. But she cruised into this race, Mig, had a comfortable lead at the head of the lane. Got pretty close there in the end.
It did. I mean, she did show a lot of gameness, right? She was determined. Speaking with Jimmy Jerkins, who is Kenny McPeak's assistant here, he's always liked her, says she's trained like a really, really good horse. Think about Jimmy Jerkins being an assistant trainer. Would it be like, Babe Ruth being a batting coach? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, think about that. What an asset.
Incredible asset. 2-year-old filly, though, that was looked like a taxing effort. She had to dig, she had to fight, just her second career start. The quick turnaround, Richie, just 2 weeks later, is that a factor?
Well, one thing about, Kenny McPeak, Jimmy Jerkins, they run horses when they're good. And she came back with a very fast work on the Belmont training track. So she must be showing all indications that she bounced out of that race in good order, and she's up to this task. Again, they're not going to force her into something they don't feel like she's ready for.
I think a horse on the rail is a little bit interesting due to the weather conditions, because we're likely to still be sloppy tomorrow. And that's a Spa Prospector for this guy. What's his name? Tom Amis?
He's all right. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Stats suggest he's like one of the best all time.
She just looks like a horse that, and as her maiden breaking score would suggest, that would love a wet track. She will try to stretch out for the first time, but I saw a lot about her, especially Authentic with Bernardini underneath, about her that suggested going longer should be okay.
Incredible summer at Saratoga with 2-year-olds Tom Amis. Best of luck, our friend and colleague, tomorrow in the Tempted, and important races because of what they mean moving forward for those who run well onto the Demoiselle, and for those who run well in the, help me out, the boys, 2-year-olds.
Oh, Tempted.
Nashua.
Nashua.
Onto the
Remsen. Yeah, geez, sorry.
Important stuff. 2-year-olds on the ascent, and we invite you to play with us at NyraBets. Get involved, sign up, and get a $25 free bet plus a $200 deposit match bonus just in time for the Breeders' Cup World Championships. Use code CUP25. Sign up now at NyraBets.com to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit match bonus. Postcard kind of afternoon in South Ozone Park, New York. Great to have you with us on Fox Sports 2, America's Day at the Races. Racing canceled. Aqueduct, not the case. Horseshoe Indie, ready to rock and roll. Race number 4, 2 minutes out. And I look down and I see race 4, and I'm looking at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. That's Saturday.
Well, that's exciting.
That's Saturday.
Did you get excited?
I was like, that horse looks like he might be tough in here. Post parade, let's meet the field. And start with a 5-1 shot. McVicker, 7 for 18 lifetime. Horseshoe Indie debut.
That's right, and before his last defeat, which was on the turf, he was riding a 3-race win streak. So if he gets back to any of his last 3 races, I think he should be tough in here.
Outsider, tricky moment.
Dropping a bit in class, but is still eligible for that non-winners of 4 in a life that Maggie was alluding to earlier.
Bella's Prayer, second in his latest.
Yeah, 5 for 38, has faced some familiar horses in this one.
Favorite, Prince of Pennies.
I'd like his brother better, Prince of Dollars, but Prince of Pennies speed should be tough.
Keeping it classy.
Keeping it classy gets Mitchell Merle aboard. Looks good there in the post parade. Don't love the fact that he was beaten 7.5 lengths in a 4-horse field last time.
Wahachi pictured.
Yeah, horse that his best races have come in wet going, so he does get some moisture in the track.
The 10-year-old, 11-time winner, 96 start, J.W. Ruckus.
God bless him.
Moving
Oh, sorry,
up,
this
no,
is
no,
you.
but it's all right. Moving up in company from
Yeah.
$4,000 level. I mean, like you said, God bless him, 11-time winner.
Warrior, an absolute warrior, still doing his thing. We check in with Rachel, trackside.
Yeah, let's talk about the Prince of Pennies, the 4, which is the 6-5 favorite right now. Michelle Elliot is the trainer and her assistant trainer, and her husband, Claudio Joquira. We all call him Chile here at the track, and which is funny because he is from Chile. But Claudio said, you know, I think the key here is the break. He definitely has had some time off, which has helped. Back on dirt, obviously, is key for him, because if you go back to an off track and a sprinting race, 2 back on June 17th, 1 by 3 with apprentice jockey Jose Gutierrez, who, by the way, is on track to win our apprentice jockey title here this year. He's had an amazing meet. He's gone down to a 5-pound bug. And you know, Chile pointed out, the assistant trainer, as I said, May 9th, 5 furlongs on that wet, fast track, 21-3, 44-3. I mean, look at those times and the nice speed figure there, 1 by 7.5. You know, he's quick. He loved these last 2 works. The bullet coming into this one I thought was really nice. And then switching over to the 5, Keep It Classy, Tim Eggleston is the trainer. His assistant trainer, Jordan Hash, he had so much to say about this. He said he likes the mud. He should improve. Second off the layoff. And he said, look, Rachel, last time he had to go to the lead and he does not like that. He likes to track everybody. So he thinks with the horse on the inside, he will get that trip that this horse favors. He did say, Tim Eggleston started out as a quarter horse trainer, for those of you who don't follow Indiana racing, a very good quarter horse trainer, I might add. Switched over to thoroughbreds a few years ago, and Jordan also, mainly with quarter horses. They've switched over to thoroughbreds, and Tim Eggleston just absolutely crushing it. He almost won, I think, the owner's title a couple years ago, or maybe last year. I mean, he's been in the mix. He said this is the first thoroughbred that they ever had. He said he's a war horse. He's just one of his favorites in the barn, but he is really tough to take. He said when he feels good, and he's kind of a jerk in the mornings. He said he'll rear up, he'll run around, and definitely a tough guy. So don't let that 9-year-old age fool you. Definitely a tough guy, and has some nice races here recently. As you look through these, hasn't been worse than 3rd and 5. So yeah, definitely one to include there. And then I just really quickly got to talk to Charlie Livers, the trainer of the one, Mick Vicker. And I noticed, because his granddaughter is here, and she said, hi, Papa, and blew him a kiss. And I said, oh, you got some special good luck today. And he goes, yeah, that's my best bud. And I said, what do you like about Mick Vicker today? And he said, you know, you've got to like this guy. He's got 3 on and off track. You got to include him. He loves to go to the lead. So I hate to say it, Charlie, but I think that if he does, it might set up for my 4, which would be a perfect scenario for me, but definitely a heavy favorite. So if you want to go with a little bit of a different route, the 5, maybe the 1 here are my other horses that I really like in the 4th.
Keeping it classy at 2-1, the second choice. Rachel, thanks so much. Richie, when you talk about bicycle horses, keeping it classy by Stay Thirsty, he needs to be like the poster child, like the example that we show the audience that isn't quite as familiar. Like, what does he mean, bicycle horse? You watch Stay Thirsty, that is the epitome of a bicycle horse.
Well, essentially, it just means if you're not riding, they're not running. It's like a bicycle. If you're not pedaling, it's not going. And some horses, you got to constantly remind them of their job. They're like people. Some people have short attention spans. Every now and then you go, hey, we got to focus on what we're doing here.
What'd you say?
Typical. You know what's fascinating about keeping it classy is I don't think he's ever been claimed, because he's still owned by his breeder, Nancy Winchell. And as we heard Rachel say, Tim Eggleston saying that this was the first thoroughbred they have. So this guy's been in the same barn for all 7, foreseeably, maybe years of racing.
Keeping it classy.
No. With low-level
Like
claimers.
Filing in, Prince of Pennies favorite at 7-5. All set for the 4th, live from Horseshoe Indie.
Bella's Prayer. Now going to try one more time. Red blinkers going forward. Just one left. J.W. Ruckus. One of two in here for Charlie Livers, the other one breaking from the rail. So book in Liver pieces here. They're at the post. Field of 7 all set for the pick 5. They are racing. Wahatchee had an alert beginning. Prince of Pennies and the Black Silks hustled on out to the inside. McVicker away racing into 3rd position. JW Ruckus is 4th early. Then a link for the back to Baylor's Prayer. Keeping it classy is 2nd last and at the back of the pack. Tricky Moment is last. Prince of Pennies fleet-footed on the front end. Even Money has bumped the lead to 6. Wahatchee left in the wake there from 2nd. McVicker is 3rd and about 10 lengths off the pace. JW Ruckus is 4th. Then keeping it classy, a link to Bella's Prayer. Still nothing from Tricky Moment. 21 and 4, and Prince of Pennies laying down the gauntlet comes to the top of the lane. The lead is 3, just outside a furlong to go. Keeping it classy up there in 2nd. So inside the final furlong, Prince of Pennies is still there. Shifting ground to the outside. Wahatchee is coming after Prince of Pennies. Prince of Pennies is gassed. Wahatchee lunging up the inside. Here comes Wahatchee at Prince of Pennies in a photo. Wow, what a tight photo finish. Pace-setting Prince of Pennies at even money was there, was gassed up the inside. Wahatchee, that gray, was lunging up at 8-1. Those two in a very tight photo finish to start.
Another exciting finish at Horseshoe Indie. Wahatchee inside, Prince of Pennies favorite outside. Behold.
Yeah. He came back, actually, I think. He deserves every bit of this win, Mig.
I agree with you. You're a lot braver than me because that angle's got me a little thrown off. And
great.
Honestly, I think that when he felt the presence of the runner-up.
He put his head down.
He put his head down, dropped down. And this is a perfect mount for an apprentice jockey, which rode Prince of Pennies. Because you're fast. You don't have to make a lot of decisions, right? You just get out of their way and let them do it. And that 5-pound break in the weights, if you hang on and win by a nose, I'd say that had a lot to do with it.
He literally threw down the gauntlet. 21 and 4, 45 flat. This horse was rolling, and he had every reason to throw in the towel. But yeah, he has his head down, guys.
Yeah, good call by you. Like I said, braver than me because that angle's got me a little befuddled. So.
Watching it live is tough.
Having to just sweat it out. Even money. Prince of Pennies, and yeah, it's just a $7,500 claimer, but you referenced the fight showing some grit and determination. Just a $7,500 claimer. These cheaper horses can have class as well.
100%, as he does. He's actually one of the younger in the crew. Here's the 5-year-old, and he picks up his 4th career start and 18 wins. Sorry, his 4th win in 17 career starts. And like I said, I know it was only a nostril, but he did this in style and showed a good deal of tenacity.
So much determination, and he's probably the only horse in the race that hasn't gotten his AARP card there. Huh?
Just a 5-year-old 18th start Prince of Pennies by 2-time Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner Golden Sense. Will Sierra Leone become a 2-time Breeders' Cup Classic winner? Only one horse has ever done it. Tis Now back in 2000, 2001. All of a sudden, the second choice, Sierra Leone. What'll he do Saturday out west at Del Mar?
Gets up to win the sprint. Jackie's Warrior, Elite Power on the far outside. Jackie's Warrior settles for 3rd today. At the 16th hole, Godite is 2nd, but Elite Power does it again.
Motivating at 870, come down 900 and 900 pounds.
The power of a champion.
Please hold your applause.
The power of Juddmonte.
Fun race, exciting finish out at Horseshoe Indie. Welcome back. America's Day at the Races on FS2. Prince of Pennies in a slugfest with Wahachi. Holds on 4, 6, 5. Prince of Pennies and Jose Gutierrez, the winning rider, out to Rachel at Horseshoe Indie.
Yeah, you guys standing by with trainer Michelle Elliot, winning trainer Prince of Pennies, and we were just talking. I didn't get to tell you guys this, but I was in the paddock, and number one thing that us horsewomen know, don't turn your back on a horse. And nothing happened, but my spidey sense went off, and I turned around, and he's just flipping around in there. He felt good, but then I told you he got in the stall and was super classy for Claudio. So tell us a little bit about this guy. He looked so classy today.
He's been a really good horse. We claimed him, and I claimed him with my mother. So it's my mom and I, and you know, he really cannot go over 5.5. So it's tough for those type of horses.
Yeah. And then you said you took him, you gave him a little bit of time off, and you didn't think he had enough works, but then.
No, and I probably wouldn't have ran him if it had been a longer race, but since it was 5 furlongs, I said, let's go for it.
And he definitely got the trip that he wanted. So congratulations, Michelle.
So much. Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Not just winning races, it's who you win with, and she gets to celebrate that one with Mom.
You know what I realized? 4 races at Horseshoe Indy, 3 of which won by female trainers.
Interesting.
Yeah. You know,
They have
girl
it
power.
working.
I just
Have
realized
it
I
working
got
out
a
at
cowlick
Horseshoe
going
Indie.
on.
You what?
Nothing. I have a cowlick.
But think
Well,
about
you can
that.
fix it now because
I'm
you're
leaving.
done. Yeah, that's right. You're not coming back later.
Yeah, but Maggie, think about this, right? Like, and the impact that women have had in racing and in so many different endeavors, right? Not just
Yeah,
training, but obviously
so true.
broadcasting, galloping. In the early 80s in New York, women were not allowed on the backstretch
you
after
imagine?
dark. Could you? Think about that. By sundown, no women were allowed on the backstretch. So how far they've come and the positive impact they've had on the game. And a lot of it is, and you know, I don't think I'm talking out of school here, women are just so much more patient with horses, quieter hands.
Empathy. They do, and I don't, obviously they're trainers that we're seeing, you know, win these races, but think about how many women are behind the scenes. The majority, especially here in New York, of assistant trainers are females.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's, and 2, you know, they really assist in running the businesses.
Absolutely.
So they're instrumental and, you know, priceless.
A theme today at Horseshoe Indy. We'll see if that continues as our coverage does continue from Horseshoe Indy, plus looking ahead to the Breeders' Cup World Championships and the option, the possibility, tickets for the Breeders' Cup. You can win an all-inclusive VIP trip to the 2026 and 2027 World Championships. I'm like, yeah, as I'm reading this, because I've clearly not read this yet, at Keeneland, and I get, it's warm and fuzzy every time you see it. A Breeders' Cup back at Belmont Park in 2027.
So
What would you guys think of if you're like the racing czar, you're making these decisions, what would you think of a 3-year rotation, Belmont, Churchill, Santa Anita, and it just rotates?
What about Keeneland?
You have it in Kentucky.
Okay.
You still have it at Churchill.
I think no.
No.
I want more variety than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree. I want more variety as well.
Yeah.
But at least then you've got the West Coast, the East Coast, and the middle of the country. And the Breeders' Cup was designed to be a traveling road show,
That's
basically
the
a
thing.
promotional tool for racing.
Exactly.
And give fans everywhere an opportunity to see the best of the best.
We're already dealing with, you know, racetracks closing all the time. You know, obviously we don't have nearly as many tracks. When you think about when horse racing kind of really was at its prime in this country, how many racetracks there were? There's a fraction of that. So to kind of, you know, make it smaller in the Breeders' Cup, as you said, that's supposed to be a rotating and travel around, I would hate to limit it to just 3 racetracks. I mean, I hope they give it to Belmont as much as possible. Don't get me wrong.
2027 back at Belmont Park for the first time since 2005. You know, Chad Brown will be there. You know he'll be well represented, as he is this weekend out at Del Mar with contrary thinking. The Rabbit, Sierra Leone looking to go back-to-back in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Chancer McPatrick, middle distance, dirt mile, hill road redistricting, program trading in the mile, and Village Voice in the Filly Mare Turf. We start with Sierra Leone. Richie, what do you make of his chances to successfully defend his title and become just the second back-to-back Breeders' Cup Classic winner?
Well, I think he's got a big chance. He's ultra consistent. He's run how many triple-digit buyers in a row? I think 8 triple-digit buyers in a row. He's never run a bad race, really. He's dependent on pace, though, Maggie.
And I love, like, he's a horse that when I see him in the paddock, when I see him training, I'm like, oh, he's so beautiful. There's a reason he costs $2.3 million because he is that attractive. But then when I see him in a race, I'm like, ugh. He's so tough to take because he is so pace dependent. That's my problem with him. And it's not to say he won't get it this time. I just wish he did more winning this year. I know he's run well, he's run fast races, but I wish he's done more winning this year as a 4-year-old.
Nuclear pace to help set up his late kick last year.
Last year, and even with the Rabbit, I don't see that kind of pace signed on. Now, that's not to say it won't show up because it is a big race, 1.25 miles, a long run of that first turn at Del Mar. Obviously, he was affected by the incident in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. And I think the best way to frame it is he was the one that finished the race that was most effective. The horse that was most affected was Mindframe because he was eliminated in the first 70 yards of the race. So out of the horses that finished, though, you can make the case that he was the one that was most affected by the incident.
Was that because of, having to kind of jump over IRAD steady early, or is it because you felt as though the pace didn't develop?
No, I think more what happened in the first 100 yards where...
You could say that about White Abario too, though, right?
Absolutely, but he didn't finish as close. So, yeah, absolutely. But out of the ones that were affected by the outcome, Mindframe, no doubt, was the most affected because his rider got knocked off his back. Then I would say Sarah Leone, was a bit unlucky because he had a steady trying to avoid a prone rider. And if I'm IRAD, I'm going to thank Flavian Pratt for that. Thank you for trying to miss me anyway. And then, White Abario was affected as well.
Yeah.
Another look at the field. Longines Breeders' Cup Classic, 1.25 miles, 3-year-olds and older with a $7 million purse. Who goes, before you leave, who's favorite at post time for the Classic?
For the Classic, I would say Fierceness.
Fierceness.
Yeah, I would agree, especially off of that huge effort in the Pacific Classic.
Yeah.
You're stepping aside? Are you coming like dressed as Posh Spice tomorrow, like on the air?
I think I am.
That's awesome.
I'm a little scared, but yeah.
Racing will be back.
I'm actually looking forward to coming to work now tomorrow.
I should practice my Posh Spice accent.
Posh Spice / Maggie Wolfendale stepping aside. Megan will be back on set. Much more as our coverage continues from Horseshoe Indie and much more from Del Mar in the 42nd Breeders' Cup World Championships. And there's a former Breeders' Cup Classic winner, White Abario, in the Dirt Mile. What will he do on Saturday at Del Mar out west, inching closer to the 42nd Breeders' Cup World Championships?
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants. He'll win by 6 in the end.
It is Drain the Clock who will bound home the winner in the Bayshore. Drain the Clock, Jackie's Warrior, a terrific finish in the Woody Stevens that goes to Drain the Clock by a head.
The Cup is calling at the Breeders' Cup with Naira Bets. Download the Naira Bets app or sign up at nairabets.com to get a $25 free bet and $200 deposit match bonus today. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, and boost your bankroll with lucrative promotions. Play the Breeders' Cup World Championship with Naira Bets. New players sign up now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit match only with Naira Bets.
Quality at his core.
And Core Beliefs will come on and win it nicely.
By leading sire, Quality Road.
And here is Core Beliefs to take the lead. Core Beliefs on the outside. Here it is, Core Beliefs.
All the best attributes of his sire, a multiple graded stakes winner who's proven at the classic distance with tactical speed and a must-see physical.
It's Core Beliefs who kicks his heels in to win the New Orleans Handicap.
Core Beliefs, standing at Walmack.
New York-breds. Race them.
Respect them.
Bet them.
Respect them.
Breed them.
Respect them.
Buy them.
Respect them.
Train them for a second career.
Respect them.
Join us in respecting thoroughbreds at every stage of life. Learn more at nybreds.com.
John Gaines started this back in the 70s, had such stallions as Riverman, Sharpen Up, Bold Bitter, Leafard, Blushing Groom. I think our slogan says it best: power, passion, performance. We're looking to be a power in not only the breeding sector, but in the whole thoroughbred industry. I think passion describes our team to the best. Mr. Beck and his family have owned this farm for almost 40 years. Brian Graves has been a part of this team for almost 20 years, myself here for 3 years, as we look to continue to grow. And I think performance describes our stallion roster perfectly, both at the racetrack and in the sales ring. And obviously, Tappet was a huge feather in the cap of the farm. He's done well for the last 20 years at stud. We have McKenzie with 5 Grade 1 stakes horses in his first crop. We have Drain the Clock and Olympiad with stellar sales results with our first crop yearlings. We were very excited this year. We brought 4 new stallions in. We had Grade 1 winner Tappet Tri, son of Tappet, another son of Tappet, Mandy Pope, homebred Charge It, Muth, son of Good Magic, only stallion retired this year in Kentucky that was a Grade 1 winner at 2 and 3, and followed it up with Preakness winner and Pennsylvania Derby winner Seize the Gray. We were very excited to have a son of Arrogate. We were a big believer in that stallion. We bred to him several times. We're bringing Grade 1 winner Locked, son of Gun Runner, into the stallion roster for 2026. Grade 1 winner at 2 at Keeneland. Grade 2 winner at 3, defeating older horses in the Cigar Mile. Grade 1 winner this year at 4. Brian Graves, Anthony Beck, myself, and the rest of the team here, we look for these horses that are going to hopefully be breed shapers and trying to continue to grow the stallion roster here at Gainesway.
So much accomplished and so much to look forward to. Gainesway, power, passion, performance.
Has taken the lead with a furlong left to go. In the center of the track, Derma Sodagake is closing some, along with Ushba Tesoro, a 16th out. And it's Irad Ortiz Jr. and White Abario with a 2-length lead. Derma Sodagake gathering late momentum. White Abario has won the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic.
Speaking of power, passion, and performance, White Abario for about 3 months, Richie, he was an absolute machine, from the Whitney at Saratoga to that performance in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
He just got so good, and he was able to finish the deal. And Irad Ortiz, he does something now that I really like. Chris McCarron used to do it, where you just kind of wave the crop at a horse from the left side. And if you watch Irad do that, he looks so much like Chris McCarron.
That's good.
Doing it.
That's pretty good.
And that's what most of your top riders do, is they try to incorporate things they admire about other riders, whether they competed with them or not, just watching video, into their repertoire.
Welcome back, Megan.
Hey, guys.
White Abario. By the way, they don't make this easy on me, from Maggie, Megan. White Abario, what does he do on Saturday? What are you expecting from him in the dirt mile?
Well, guys, I just don't find him to be quite at home at the mile. I find that he is better going longer. He doesn't sport a win at the mile in graded stakes company. He hasn't won doing so at the mile all the way back years ago, actually. So he's kind of one I don't particularly trust, despite his extensive resume. He certainly is a formidable beast on the day he really puts in his effort, Mig, but he's just a type of horse that I don't feel is at his best at this distance.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think maybe he does get swept off his feet just a little bit. You anticipate it being a faster pace going the mile. And, interestingly enough, Irad Ortiz, who was aboard for that Breeders' Cup Classic victory, is back aboard. And last time he was on Mindframe. But you can also say he rode White Abario, at least for a few strides.
He did.
He landed
literally.
on it, right? Yeah.
On 2. That was crazy. That was crazy. Every time you see it, hard to process. Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, there it is, the field. Mystic Dan, 8-5. The morning line favorite is we look at last year's winner, a full Serrano, 7-2 on the morning line with Joel Rosario, Richie. Last year, 13-1 upsetter at Del Mar, back at Del Mar. Can he, what do you make of his chances to successfully defend his Dirt Mile title?
I think he's got a big shot here again. And a nod to our colleague, Jeff Siegel, who unfortunately passed away recently. He was absolutely my day maker last year. Closed out the day crushing him to the win as well as hitting the exacta pretty hard. And I was having a terrible Breeders' Cup, so I like Full Serrano. I'm a fan.
And Peggy's also a horse that, I mean, he's never been off the worse than second in his stateside efforts, but to me, he is a little bit light on seasoning, and one that is certainly going to have to compete with some speed directly to his outside in the juvenile winner last year in Citizen Bull.
And you see returning champions running this weekend at Del Mar in the Breeders' Cup from Citizen Bull, Fierceness in the Classic juvenile winner a couple of years back. You just saw Full Serrano in the Dirt Mile. Sierra Leone, White Abario, and Rebels Romance as we welcome in Acacia Clement with us from Del Mar. Acacia, of the returning champions, Rebels Romance, who's seeking a third win in the Breeders' Cup turf.
And a remarkable feat, looking to be just the third horse to win 3 Breeders' Cup races, and just pretty incredible for a horse of his caliber. Truly a globetrotter who we got to see in New York last time out as well. He's earned over $14 million, and he's a gelding. So it's one of those positives, especially for the Godolphin team, because he's a gelding. He's not eligible to run in some of those really high-level Group 1s over in Europe. So they've taken him globetrotting. He's been on the track for quite some time. We've seen him at the Breeders' Cup several times already. And from a truly fan perspective, I think it's really cool to see a horse like him at the Breeders' Cup once again. He's looked tremendous. You do see often at the end of the morning in training, the turf opens, and most of the Europeans, Rebels Romance included, will opt to go that route. We saw them ship over to Saratoga instead of coming down to Belmont before the Joe Hirsch last time, so that they could train on the turf and kind of keep consistently with how his training has been, and that's exactly what they've been doing with him here. I've always said he's probably the biggest, leggiest son of Dubawi that I have ever seen, and he truly is remarkable in New York, shipping back and forth, and now in California, looking for that third Breeders' Cup victory. And he drew the rail in the Breeders' Cup turf, which certainly I think is an advantage to him as well. He's going to be able to save ground in a big field, and a pretty stacked field as well, but an incredibly consistent horse around the world and just what he's been able to do. Maybe he has had, Luffy, a couple of advantageous trips, but he always shows up when it counts. You have to respect a horse like him.
Respect a horse that creates their own luck as well. Rebels Romance seeking that third win in the Breeders' Cup turf. A completely different brand of racing, from a 1.5 mile turf event to a 6-furlong sprint in the Breeders' Cup sprint. And another defending champion in Straight No Chaser, 15 strong in the Breeders' Cup sprint. Richie, a Straight No Chaser, so good in this event a season ago, 8-1 in the morning line. Some time away from racing. Where is he right now compared to where he was heading into last year's Breeders' Cup sprint?
That's the major question, isn't it? I mean, he came in off an abbreviated campaign last year as well, right? He only had 3 starts in 2024, but he did come into the Breeders' Cup off of a big effort at Santa Anita, where I wasn't as enamored with his effort at Santa Anita this year.
Everything I resound with you, Meg, as far as him quite not being the same. And you could attribute this to the travel. I mean, he, of course, won that Riyadh Dirt Sprint, a grade 2 in the Middle East, 2 back. He was very impressive that day. But sometimes it can take its toll. That kind of travel on a horse, they might not come back always the same. He's always been Dan Blacker, his trainer, has managed him beautifully, and he's always been a strong workhorse. He's always been really engaged and forward in his moves, and he looks great. To me, he just might not be at the same level coming into this race this year.
I know you're a fan of Copian, 7-2, drawn inside that big full field. No room for error from the start. Copian, Megan, and how he's actually been training leading up to the Breeders' Cup sprint.
She's the filly against the boys here, and her trainer, Richard Mandela, is a conservative man as far as placing his horses, giving her some time in between starts as far as things are concerned. He definitely takes his time bringing his horses along, but it's such an encouraging signal to see her here against the boys. You see her putting in a swift bullet here, but her 2-back effort in company, going 6 furlongs, was incredibly impressive, and to me, really signaled that she was prepared for this effort as far as facing males, and I think that she's quick. She's one that's handy as far as breaking from the inside. I'm incredibly excited about her chances, and you know, with the absence of the divisional leader in Bookham Dano, this kind of leaves this field wide open, and she's going to have to contend on the front end with some speeds. This is going to be a quick race, as grade 1 level sprints are, but I do find her to be just as fast as these boys, guys. I think she's got a real shot in this race.
She's a major player. I was texting last night with Richard Mandela, and he seems extremely confident. He's an amazing horseman, one of the best I've ever been around, bar none. And that 3 furlongs blowout, that was such an old school move. 3/8 and 33 1/5. That's essentially every furlong, every eighth of a mile in 11 seconds. That's rolling. Now, why would you do that? Well, she's turning back in distance. She gets the rail in a very, very fast, contentious field, and that just opens up their airways, makes them ultra sharp.
You're good with the rail.
I'm fine with the rail, and you get Mike Smith was aboard for that work. Mike Smith takes them out here, and to me, that tells me we just want her as sharp as humanly possible, and that's what those sharp blowouts do. They put a horse totally in the game.
Don't get to see it as often anymore. The fillies taking on the boys in the Breeders' Cup Sprint since the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint was introduced. But that was always one of the fun stories of that particular race. And thinking back to Safely Kept and Very Subtle, those fillies and mares that could handle the boys at a Grade 1 championship level. Live look, Horseshoe Indie. Let's meet the field for the 5th off the turf on the main track. Classic Kitten at 20-1.
And Classic Kitten just looks like she's going to have to improve, especially her dirt races leave a little bit more to be desired.
Enchanted Melody, Evan Roman seeking a second win this afternoon.
Right there, getting back to the slop as she did 3 back, and 4 back, she seemed to handle it well. So I kind of like her chances there at a price.
Favorite, Sweet Saint.
Well, it's hard not to like a horse that's 3 for 4 lifetime. She's the most lightly raced horse in the field, but also maybe, obviously, with the winningest profile.
7-1, Juicy Justice.
Big step up in class for this filly, who hasn't really inspired me in her form lately, and in terms of getting to the main track, I'm not exactly trustworthy.
Charming Jazel, 5-1.
Yeah, I mean, a horse that to me leaves room for improvement. She's kind of mid-pack lingering there as far as the speed was concerned. I didn't trust her in that respect, but she's been turning away at this level and has experience on the main track.
You saw Amazingness and then entered main track only. Get Even Kid from the outside draws in.
Yep, especially these main track only contenders. In terms of this one, we've seen speed do well on this track today, and breaking from the outside with speed, I like her chances in this race.
To Rachel in the winner's circle at Horseshoe Indie.
Hey, you guys, I moved over to the paddock because the sun is warming me. The wind is so really cold. But yeah, I was in here talking to everybody, and if you guys have been following around with the Indiana coverage that we've done the last few weeks, Randy Klopp is a guy who loves to riz me, and joke around with me a lot, make my job a little hard, not out of spite, but because he loves me. He's known me for so long. He's a big, scary guy. A lot of people don't know him very well, and he might be a little intimidating. He's not to me. I walked right up to him and I said, "You planned this, sir. You didn't want to go on the grass." And he goes, "Yeah, I wanted it to come off, so it's fine with me." But he's just going to tell Sammy, do what you always do. He bought this horse from Aaron West, and Aaron said, "Don't put him on Lasix. Keep Sammy up, and you'll do well." And he did. So yeah, this new owner is from Texas. It's his first Indiana bred. So welcome, Sandeep Patel, as they're heading in the gate. I'm hoping it's a 5-4. I'm rooting for Michelle. Let's see if we can't get 4 of these 5 races won by ladies, you guys.
See if that trend, see if that theme continues. Post time, race 5 live from Horseshoe Indie.
To start the $1 pick 4 presented by Itoba. Loading quickly here. Get Even Kid, the main track only, coming up to the outside. They're at the post. And they are racing in the Itoba pick 4, and Sweet Saint is flashing speed. Enchanted Melody will go with her, and these 2 hook up stride for stride on the run the first turn. Get Even Kid from the high draw away into 3rd position. Juicy Justice is 4th early, racing about the 3 path. Amazingness even further out while racing 5th. Charming Giselle came away racing in the 6th position, and Classic Kitten is 7th and trailing just outside 6 furlong to travel. 2 distinct flights here as Enchanted Melody and Sweet Saint. They do do it up top, and they turn for the backside. 2.5 in front of Get Even Kid, who'll track that duo from third. Amazingness is fourth under a long hold. Her stablemate Juicy Justice is fifth with about 7 to find, and 6 or 7 back to Classic Kitten and Charmin Giselle at the back of the pack. 4.5 furlongs to go. The quarter on the board, 24 seconds flat. They approach the half-mile stage. Sweet Saint to the outside, Enchanted Melody to the inside. They got the Hoosier half in 48 and 32/100ths. Now here comes Get Even Kid up to the outside, moves a closer third. Amazingness is on her back from fourth. Then about 4 lengths further back, Juicy Justice is going the wrong way. Charming Giselle starts to heat up with 5/16 to go. It's Sweet Saint to the inside, Get Even Kid to the outside. That's all for Enchanted Melody. Amazingness made that run. She stalled from third. Charming Giselle continuing to gain ground to the top of the home stretch. And here comes Get Even Kid up and after Sweet Saint with a furlong to go. Sweet Saint, she's under a heavy ride. Get Even Kid is full press to go past her just outside the 16th pole. Sweet Saint, Get Even Kid. Sweet Saint, she's digging down deep, and Sweet Saint will go to the winner's circle. Sweet Saint, she's now a 4-time winner from 5 starts in her first start for Klopp. Right to the winner's circle and stops the timer in 1:43. And for Sweet Saint, she's a daughter of prayer for relief, and she refused to lose.
It all worked out. Trainer Randy Klopp off the turf for the main track with Sweet Saint and right back to the winner's circle.
Yeah, and she was game. I mean, she just fought every step of the way. She put away the other speeds, took the challenge from the 10, Get Even Kid, who had an absolutely perfect trip under Alberto Burgos. But Sweet Saint now extends her record to 4 wins from 5 starts. She's got a winning profile.
Yeah, they've got a nice Indiana bred on their hands, and she was kind of one that we saw before we came on camera that was agitated, got the tack off, and was acting up in the paddock, but she still managed to put everything together. And this 2 speeds, the pace held, and they dueled on the front end, managed to get the best of this group, and inside trip managed to get it done.
Sweet Saint, 5'10", 8 and 9 in the 5th race, Horseshoe Indie. Results, reaction when we come back. Plus, yeah, it'll be packed at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. The Breeders' Cup back at Del Mar for the 3rd time. Gets started tomorrow afternoon. First of 14 races, more than $34 million in purses. Championships to be decided tomorrow out west.
$1,600,000 $1,600,000 bid today, $1,600,000 bid now 650, $1,650,000 $1,650,000. Anybody else want $650,000 bid today, $1,650,000 $1,600,000. Thank you.
Welcome back. America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2, brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Visit NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app to get started. America's fastest city, Grand Central Station. Megan, some sightseeing in your near future, yes?
Oh, yeah. Me and Paula are going to go wreak havoc on the town. NYC, you better watch out.
Look out.
She's got the tourist Facebook groups lit.
Look out. Halloween in New York City. Racing tomorrow in New York City here at Aqueduct. Canceled this afternoon. Not the case out at Horseshoe Indie. Turned out to be a beautiful afternoon as a Sweet Saint and Sandeep Patel, a new owner, getting that experience. Take that picture with his winning filly in the winner's circle at Horseshoe Indie.
Well, have a horse like this, Sweet Saint, now 4 for 5 lifetime. I think this is an easy game.
Right? That's how we get our hooks in you. Out to Rachel.
Standing by with Sammy Bermudez, and thanks, Sammy, for sticking around. He threatened me. Klopp said, no way, Rach, and make Sammy do it, and Sammy tried to get out of it, go back to the jocks room. You're riding in the next one, so I'll let you go. Just walk us through the race. You know her really well, and I said, she obviously likes you because Aaron West said to keep you on her, and you said, obviously.
I mean, we get along pretty good, and I had the fastest horse in the race. I just try to slow her down and get her to finish like I always do.
You guys are 4 for 5 together. She's third the only other time. Tell me how talented you think she is.
She is really good. I mean, I was surprised when I first started riding her, and Aaron told me he was going to put her for claim, and I was like really amazed. She was working pretty good, and I always think she had talent.
Yeah. She showed it today. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, guys, back to you.
Tailor-made for an apprentice, as you were saying. Or for a young rider.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, she creates her own trip, right? She has natural speed, but she took, constant pressure from the 4, shook her off, and then here comes the fresh challenge from the 10, Get Even Kid, who had an absolutely perfect trip, and she said, no. Do you know who I am? I win. I'm 4 for 5. I'm Sweet Saint.
I loved it. I love those hard-knocking fillies. She got to the inside, and it seems, as we discussed off camera, that the speed is doing well on that track, especially when you're getting more towards the rail. So she had a great trip, got to the front end, very straightforward. And again, a Texas bred as far as the owner was concerned. I see you over there, and you seem to have a nice filly on your hand, that's for sure.
Sweet Saint in the 5th at Horseshoe Indie. We turn the page. Race number 6 coming up in about 17 minutes. Main track listed as good. More Indiana breds, $15,000 claimers. The restriction, non-winners to lifetime. Mile is the distance. And Einstein's Ghost, 2-1. Much more with Rachel, and live coverage continuing from Horseshoe Indie. And tomorrow, day 1 of the 42nd Breeders' Cup World Championships. The rundown starts with the Juvenile Turf Sprint, dominated by Europeans in recent years. The Juvenile Fillies, Juvenile Fillies Turf, and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Championship implications. Take a look at the field for this Breeders' Cup Juvenile, one of the original 7. With Ted Nafi, a 4-5 morning line favorite. Acacia with trainer Todd Pletcher a few days ago at Saratoga, talking about the route to the Breeders' Cup instead of the Champagne here in New York, running in the Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland.
We wanted to get some 2-turn experience, and he handled that super. Back here, he's trained really well. He's very straightforward. He's kind of does what he wants to do in the mornings in terms of his gallops are pretty routine. And when you breeze him, he's perfectly willing to relax and go easy or pick it up if you need to. So 3 races under his belt and a good 2-turn experience. We're just kind of hoping to keep him happy in between races now.
For a horse like him that clearly was precocious, winning first time out, and being able to continue that on, how special is that, as you've, of course, had a very strong year with 2-year-olds this summer in Saratoga?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you hope for when you're preparing them for their debut and showing some promising works, and then you're always excited to see if they prove that in the afternoons, and he certainly has.
Ted Nafi, drawn outside Richie, as you were just pointing out, where he'll be very comfortable and familiar.
Every single one of Ted Nafi's starts, he has drawn the extreme outside post. On debut, he was 8 of 8. In the hopeful, 7 of 7. In the Breeders' Futurity, 6 of 6. Now he's 8 of 8 again. Natural speed, creates his own trip, waits for his rider's cues. So important on a big stage like this that you have a young colt with a good mind. He's just impressive to me. And I love what Todd Pletcher did. He sent him to Keeneland specifically so he would have a 2-turn experience, where if he ran in the Champaign in New York, it would have been 1 turn. And Ted Knopfy seemingly has all the bases covered coming into this.
Megan passed that 2-turn test with flying colors.
He did. I was on hand at Keeneland that day, watched him in the flesh, and I've just been so impressed by the way he's looked at Saratoga this summer. Certainly passed that 2-turn test with flying colors. And we mentioned this earlier in the show regarding Iron Orchard showing a new dimension, but this horse, I feel like you really wanted to see that same finishing ability he did sprinting around that 2-turn test that he got last time out. He did so beautifully, put that field to bed. He'll face blackout time yet again in this race, but he, to me, is the one of any short-priced horse that you're going to find on Breeders' Cup weekend. To me, he's the one that you want.
Yeah, he would be the one I would lean on most. I know, some people make a case for the 7 Brant. He's undefeated, 2 for 2, a Grade 1 winner as well. He's never gone 2 turns. He's never gone this far. There are questions where I think Ted Knopfy's answered any of those questions.
Yeah, and Bob Baffert's not great when it comes to stretching horses out in these Grade 1 Breeders' Cup type races. He's had 3 in the last 5 years do so. None of them have managed to win this race. He also kind of has that same record in terms of his fillies. So I definitely have questions as far as him handling the distance. And he's also, Bob's not one that's afraid to run his horses, and he's kind of coming off a more of a gap than I would have anticipated. So Brant certainly has some 2-turn class questions, and he's going up against a very classy horse in Ted Knopfy that has truly checked every single box thus far.
Those are the boys in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. About an hour prior, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, the crowning of a princess on Breeders' Cup Day. There is the field, 9 strong, $2 million purse, mile and a 16th the distance. And speaking of Bob Baffert, has the favorite, number 7, Explora. How impressed, Richie, have you been with Explora?
Well, she has been very impressive, and unlike Brant, also hailing from the Bob Baffert barn in the Juvenile, she does have 2-turn experience, and she showed a little bit of a different dimension where she put herself more in a stalking spot and was able to finish the deal. I thought this was a extremely difficult race to handicap from my perspective.
I thought so too, Meg. Especially, it's very much you have to go with an angle and you have to stand in it, especially with progressive juvenile fillies, as you find 2-year-olds change in so many ways as the fall progresses. And to me, it kind of revolves around what you make of the Alcibiades, what you make of Tommy Joe. She disappointed me last time out in the Alcibiades, and she's a filly that to me just didn't look as comfortable in the running of that race. She was a bit more keen early, and she just never looked like the winner that day. So it's going to be interesting to see if she can bounce back off of an effort that could read her as potentially a distance-limited filly, maybe 7 furlongs, that mile more her forte, but she'll certainly get the test here against Percy's Bar right back again.
Bottle of Rouge, Richie, who did upset her stablemate Explora in the Del Mar debutante, 7 furlongs at Del Mar this summer. Can she pull off the upset again, or what's the key to her upsetting her stablemate again in company?
Well, she's shown that kind of progression, right? 3 starts. She started at 5 furlongs, 6.5, then 7. Now she's getting the mile and a 16th. Mike Smith picked up the mount there. She went off 9-1 and was, to me, decidedly best that day. She's going to have to take that next step forward, too, show that she's able to handle the 2 turns. She certainly has a pedigree that says she should.
The stamina is certainly there on paper, Meg, but she's also, a filly. Bob Baffert has won this race 2 times from 26 tries, and he has never done so with the filly making the stretch out in distance for the first time. But that stamina-ridden pedigree, Meg, is certainly it encourages her case. But she's going to be, I think, a bit shorter than she probably should be in terms of the price you have to accept.
You mentioned Tommy Joe. We were introduced to her about, 40 minutes or so before Sovereignty won the Jim Dandy at Saratoga. Impressive win in the spin-away. What happened? What went wrong? What did you see in the Alcibiades, Richie?
I just think she was too keen. We made a lot of Ted Knopfy and how smart he is and how much he waits on his riders' cues and, he's easy to manage. Tommy Joe was not easy to manage in the Alcibiades. Now, she also was kind of caught up a little bit between horses, and sometimes that kind of incites a horse to do more. Maybe she was never getting by Percy's Bar, but I thought it was a justifiable disqualification in the Alcibiades because she did get to her with momentum. And when a horse gets bumped at that stage, all horses are tired at that point. and it just kind of threw her stride completely off, knocked her to her left lead, and she basically shut down. If she can settle, I'm not completely convinced she won't get 2 turns, but she's not going to beat a group like this if she's keen again.
You know, it is a filly by Into Mischief. The way she ran her races at Saratoga really gave me that positive impression that she would be able to handle the 2 turns. And I think it was some of the dynamics that day and the preliminaries as well. She just didn't look as comfortable and within herself as she did at Saratoga. And as Richie mentioned, she was keen in the early stages of that race, kind of tossing her head. And that energy expenditure and kind of fighting a bit, it depletes a horse in the end. We saw her get tired. So little things, little quirks that she'll have to work out. But as far as her price, I think this is the time that you would want to take her, as I think that coming out of that race, she might be a little bit healthier, especially with Percy's Bar, obviously with the DQ, she was well in front. So as far as a handicapping perspective and from a player's perspective, I think if you're going to take her, and this is the kind of the healthier value price point that you would find in this race.
Undefeated, hasn't crossed the wire in front in all of her starts, but perfect. Going in 3 for 3. Tommy Joe, what will she do in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies tomorrow afternoon at Del Mar as we get started with the 2025 Breeders' Cup World Championships and continue our coverage from Horseshoe Indie. Riders up momentarily. We'll check in with Rachel, the 6th from Horseshoe Indie in 8 minutes. We'll be right back.
Lead. 8 to main 2, get it and you're out. 250. 8 2 down to get down 250 down to get down to get down 50. I guess not. Here to get down to get down to get down 50. Hit it and once. Here to get down to get down to get down. They know down. But it very when it gets twice. Here to get down to get a third and final call. 2 main 2, 150 and a half. Roger, you win today. 2 main 2. Thank you.
9.5. Thank you. In the back, $1,900,000. Thank you. $1,700,000. Jody, thank you. Please hold your applause.
The Cup is calling at the Breeders' Cup with NyraBets. Download the NyraBets app or sign up at NyraBets.com to get a $25 free bet and $200 deposit match bonus today. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, and boost your bankroll with lucrative promotions. Play the Breeders' Cup World Championship with NyraBets. New players sign up now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit match only with NyraBets.
And it is a beautiful evening for the inaugural championship sale.
We just are always trying to think of things that are additive to the market, exciting ways to offer an opportunity for people to get involved.
I applaud Keeneland for stepping up and something new, and let's go.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Alapa means everything to me and my family. We moved out here about 5 years ago. Since then, every waking day and hour has been spent building this place into what it is now. It's really a spiritual, amazing place where we try to raise the best horses in the world. My brothers, me, my mom, my dad have such a passion for this place, and we're continuing to try to better it every day. Selling's a huge part of our business. This September, we have a really big, great consignment of horses. Backing off of a very successful Saratoga season is hugely important and fulfilling for us to be able to help people achieve their dreams of selling a high-dollar horse or buying a high-dollar thoroughbred.
It's just so peaceful out here. It's a great environment for these horses. They really stay calm and relaxed out here. I grew up as a kid, you know, watching Curlin, and he was like a superhero to me. So definitely a special opportunity to be able to work with a horse like him. Curlin obviously is taking on the torch for Smart Strike and Mr. Prospector. So it's great to have, you know, a son like Good Magic here who we think is his best son. You know, the quality of mares that Good Magic has bred in such a short career already is just second to none. One of the most exciting things for us right now is this really good core group of young horses that we have that have came in here over the last few years. You know, you go back and look at Charlatan, who has 2-year-olds this year. You know, they've sold extremely well. Arabian Night, who we just got last year, just finished his first season with us. Just a super classy, impressive son of Uncle Mo. We're really combining the history of this place along with building up for a new future.
Coverage as always on America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Hill and Dale at Alapa. Richie, that's your handiwork.
No, I'm no good with that stuff.
You are a renaissance man.
Now we used to have like the kit with the kids and everything, and then I would let Carmela
That's
do it.
next level. That is next level. We have stakes racing coming up this weekend here. Belmont at the Big A. There's a look at all of it. Tomorrow, Tempted, keep prep for the Demoiselle. Nashua, keep prep for the Remsen. 2-year-old fillies and the boys in the Nashua. And on Sunday, 4 stakes races. Let's start with the Red Smith, 1 3/8 on grass. And last year's edition, the runner-up is back, Richie, in limited liability with Frankie Dettori on this afternoon. Joel Rosario to ride on Sunday, limited liability, solid, bang-up second-place finish in this race a season ago.
Yeah, a really good effort. He was coming in last year into this race off of a winning effort, and I'm just not convinced that he's found that form this year as a 6-year-old that he had last year. But Megan, you talked about it. Not a tremendous amount of speed sign on here, and he at least can lay up close.
Yeah, he's a handy type. I think that he's one that will be able to find his way closer to the front end, which is going to benefit him. And I also am not convinced he's a 1 3/8 type horse. I think he's more of a staying type. But at the same time, Richie, you know, I thought Kenny McPeak in this race as well with Common Defense. He's going to show that speed as well.
Down
so I
inside,
think down inside, that could make out for a good trip for him. But I thought this was a really interesting race as far as the way the pace dynamics played out in horses that are kind of, we know they want to get that added ground. Some of them seem to want a bit longer. We'll see if this is the sweet spot for them.
And then a Desvio, who just won the Sycamore, 1.5 miles at Keeneland. There's the horse, Megan, and then the story coinciding.
This was such an exciting win for his trainer, Madison Myers. I believe this was her very first stakes victory. Very exciting there. And this horse, you'll see, he's the number 6. He's way back there. And we oftentimes say, traveled like the winner. I did not find that he did so whatsoever. He was grinding away, very much a stayer, and kind of manages to close him down. But you're not really seeing an explosive turn of foot as you would from some of those runners run at shorter distances, maybe a mile or a mile and a 16th. So he's a stayer. He wants all the ground that he can get. This might be a little sharp for him, but at the same time, I'm also a little bit weary of the lack of pace signed on coming from off of things. So we'll see how he fares, but certainly an incredible story. Hoping to see him take another step forward as he ventures back into stakes company in this try.
Another factor will be the condition of the turf course by the time Sunday rolls around.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this time of year, even if it quits raining completely, it's not going to dry out. You know, overnight we got the colder evenings and the ground stays more saturated, so it's going to play a major factor. I won the Red Smith for Michael Dickinson. The horse's name's escaping me now, but his horse that used to try to lug in. And he walked the course because we had a lot of rain coming into it. And he had his wife's high heels, and he was pressing down into the course to see where it was.
So many questions.
But he pointed out that he wanted me in, like, it was like the 7 or 8 path, he said, was the firmest ground, and that's where I needed to go. With a horse that lugs in, mind you. Wow. And I wrestled with him and got him out there, and he did come down that lane and get up and win. So Michael Dickinson, my respect, because he called that shot.
Call him the mad genius for a reason.
Yeah.
A little unconventional, but what
Set away
a horseman.
Set a whale.
Set a whale.
There you got it. Can we do a segment with Meg and the Mig, and I just sit down and listen to Meg's stories? I think that would be fun. Can we do that?
That's why they tune in.
Just pitching
Here
it.
on America's Day at the Races. All that stakes racing coming your way this weekend. Back racing tomorrow afternoon. Belmont at the Big A. Catch it all right here on America's Day at the Races. Plus continued coverage. Horseshoe Indie gearing up for a post-parade. Indiana-breds going a mile. We start with Hank Satank at 10-1.
Hank's a tank. Thank you. I had something else that was going to come out there. I think when you name a horse that, you're not expecting him to be a really good horse.
Rocadura, number 2, 19-1. Then a contender, a Miley's Vow.
More of a deep closer, right?
Exactly, and the speed's been doing well today on this track.
A 9-2 shot. My Mr. Perfect pictured.
Yeah, it makes a little bit of sense, but still trying to break through the maiden condition now, and one that I don't exactly trust here on the main track.
From My Mr. Perfect, there's Page Perfect.
Yeah, was well beaten at the $5,000 level, went to the bench and shows up here. He'd be a surprise.
War Trinkets 1 for 17.
Exactly, you said it, 1 for 17, and he just hasn't done any running whatsoever, especially at this condition last out.
Instinctually, the Gray 15-1.
Another more of a deep closer in a race that doesn't, I don't think, have a tremendous amount of speed signed on.
Contention towards the outside. There's Einstein's Ghost.
3-back showed speed, wired that field in maiden 15, and possibly needs to get more engaged, show some more speed here. Could be a threat.
Favorite, Cow Creek Kid.
This is who I like because I do think he has natural speed and he should create a good trip for himself.
The 10 horse at 64-1. I'm not fumbling that one.
45-1, 58-1. He's a difference of prices in here, but he's a big price. Comes off a lackluster performance against much cheaper horses. We'll see how he fares from the outside.
This 6th race coming your way from Horseshoe Indie. Back racing tomorrow. Belmont at the Big A and Breeders' Cup World Championships on the horizon. Get involved. Sign up today. Join Naira Bets. Get a $25 free bet plus a $200 deposit match bonus just in time for the Breeders' Cup World Championships. Use that code CUP25. Sign up now at NairaBets.com to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit match bonus. We check in with Rachel. Technical difficulties, lost contact with Rachel, and Megan, I blame you.
You know what? It was my fault, and I take full responsibility for it. But Rachel's been putting in some work over there at Indiana, and she's been getting all the inside scoop. Kudos to you, Rachel, because you've been a great tool to us as far as this card is concerned. But I will say, speed has done well on this card, and I anticipate that it will do well here as we close things out on New York.
That great insight you're referencing. Now we'll try this again. Rachel, take 2. You there?
I swear, live TV, guys. Yeah, Einstein's Ghost, though, I did talk to all the connections, really. John Heron, the trainer for the 9. This horse is tall. He's big. He's huge. I really want to jump him. I want to pull a Maggie Wolfendale and take him around the course. He just looks like that kind of horse. He likes to be on the lead, he said. He likes to be there close. Hopefully he can get there. He's dropping down, which is key. And then Jose Gutierrez, he said, I'm hoping to get a double here, the jockey. And he said he's really, it was a tough race. It's a tough race, but he's just a pretty chill, calm guy, and he's just going to try to take him around there and get him in a good position like he likes to be. The favorite here, 9 Cow Creek, our leading jockey Fernando de la Cruz, looking for the hat trick today. I think he can get it done. Looks very, very good in the paddock physically, presented himself very well. Second time with winners, dropping down in class, might be better today. And then I could not leave you guys, and as Megan said, I'm just going around pulling whatever I can out of these guys. Some of them, it's really hard. I got to squeeze them, and the number 1, Hankastank, who I do have in my selections, Mitchell Murrell aboard for Danny Simpson, said the same thing, these country boys. The hops, the drop as well. And then I said, come on, Danny, give me something better. And he said, listen, we're going to do something different, Rach, today. We're going to try to win. So dropping him down into claiming for the first time. I had to include this one. He's double digits. They saddled him on the walk. He looked really good. He was dappled up. He was moving well. Stood in the paddock like a champ. And I got to tell you guys, Danny Simpson is an amazing horseman with all horses. He is not the kind of guy that just stands back and isn't hands-on. Him and I, when I was an intern at Hoosier Park in Anderson, Indiana, this is 10 plus years ago, he had a pony horse and worked for another trainer, obviously, and has just worked himself up. You could set a bazooka off on that horse's head. It was dead bomb broke. I mean, we set a kitten on top of its head once. I'm not joking, you guys. He has a pony horse that he's let me use on the local TV stations that stood like a champ. He is a horse trainer through and through. Pony horses, quarter horses, thoroughbred horses. He knows the equine athletes very well. I will say that about Danny Simpson. A man of few words, though, and he definitely is superstitious, so I haven't gotten anything really great out of him. I'm going to keep trying, you guys. We're going to the gate here for the 6th race, but a lot of money on the 9. I'm going to go 819 in this group here. Looks like a really nice group, and it could go any which way, like I said, with all these class drops.
819 for Rachel. Einstein's Ghost, second choice, 5-2. Late scratch. Rocadura, number 2 is out. Number 2, Rocadura is out. Does that change anything whatsoever in terms of race shape, at least on paper?
I don't believe so. This is a very deep closer in a race that's devoid of a tremendous amount of speed, and I just didn't have the look of a contender to me.
You're exactly right, Richie. I think that this race could very well be won by one of those horses being able to be forward. Who gets to the lead? Is it going to be the 8 Einstein's Ghost? He hasn't done so in a bit. You could also say the same about the 9 Cow Creek Kid, but they both have the propensity to show that speed. We'll see who gets there and who manages to do so in the end. Both at some pretty short prices.
By Bucaro, Richie, Cow Creek Kid.
Yeah, Bucaro now standing up in Saratoga, actually in Schuylerville at what was GMP Farm is now Iron Horse Stud. John Dowd managing the holdings for Iron Horse, and he is a very welcome addition to the New York Stallion roster. Is really making a lot of noise at stud, and he's throwing horses that are showing different dimensions. They can sprint on turf, or they can go a bit longer like this horse.
Approaching the starting gate, really good stuff from Rachel all afternoon, and that's the stuff that you really sink your teeth into, that you find most useful, I think, for our handicappers and viewers at home. The stuff that you can't necessarily just get in the racing form, the story behind the story that gives you a little more context to why trainers are doing certain things with horses, and equipment adjusting, why a horse is running at a certain distance. Again, it adds a lot of texture.
It does add a lot of texture, and the fact that there are connections here that we're less familiar with because we don't cover the races in Indiana as often. So to get a little bit of a backstory and know how people got there and their horsemanship skills, to me, that's the really good stuff. That's when you're introducing something to the public that they're not going to get anyplace else.
Just like what Maggie and Acacia provide to our viewers here in New York. Great stuff, Rachel, all afternoon. Horseshoe Indie. Not done yet, not by a long shot. At the gate for the 6th, live from Horseshoe Indie on America's Day at the Races.
2-1 now on Einstein's Ghost. 9 for 5 on Cow Creek Kid, as the assistant starter still working with Instinctually. Now outrider John Neal comes over to assist. Instinctually relents, goes right in. Now My Mr. Perfect coming up. Einstein's Ghost. John Heron moving into line. 2-1 co-favorite. Page Perfect, Tracy Wisner, looking for her second victory on the Thursday scoreboard. Cow Creek Kid. Fernando de la Cruz looking for 3 on the afternoon. And Chinecki. Sammy Bermudez looking to go back-to-back here at the track. Chinecki be led up by Riley to the outside. Chinecki with the blue shadow roll here. Looks like they're going to back out Page Perfect. Now Page Perfect going forward once again. Hold on. Page Perfect is in. Here's Chinecki to the outside. Chinecki loading in, field of 9 at the post. And they are racing instinctually. Hopped as they kicked it in his last. Hank's a Tank hustling out for the early lead. Cow Creek Kid flashing speed. Page Perfect part of the early go, as well as a race around the clubhouse turn. Chinecki came away racing in 4th. My Mr. Perfect is 5th and about 7 or 8 off the pace as they work around the turn, shaded to the outside by Einstein's Ghost, still 6 back to War Trinkets, and then Instinctually's right there, 5 or 6 back to My Miley's Vow, who's at the back of the pack. 5.5 furlongs to go. They really start to spread out here. About 15 or 16 lengths top to bottom, the quarter, 23-1. It is Cow Creek Kid doing the business with Hank's a Tank. They head up the backside, and right there in the thick of things, too, is Chinecki. Page Perfect in the red jacket is fourth and about 3 off the pace. Einstein Ghost is fifth. Einstein goes into the catbird seat there from fifth and about 4. Back to My Mr. Perfect, who starts to stoke up a rally. Still nothing yet from War Trinkets and Instinctually, who races a team into the far turn run. And last still My Miley's Vow. Half mile 47-1. They race around the turn, and it's Cow Creek Kid showing the way. Chinecki second, continuing to grind away to the outside is Einstein's Ghost. Even further out as they reach the top of the home stretch, here comes My Mr. Perfect. So at the top of the home stretch, Cow Creek Kid will whip him in. Cow Creek Kid off the turn of length. Here comes Einstein's Ghost up the inside to challenge. Einstein's Ghost to the inside. Cow Creek Kid to the outside. 4 lengths further back to My Mr. Perfect. 1/16 to go. Cow Creek Kid, the son of Bucaro, is striding forward here. Cow Creek Kid's going to give Dela Cruz 3 on the card. Einstein Ghost was second. A few lengths further back to My Mr. Perfect. And from the clouds, My Miley's Vow rallied from last to be fourth in 1:39.2.
And Bucaro gets a shout out in deep stretch as Cow Creek Kid takes down the 6th race out at Horseshoe Indie.
Yeah, and had good speed. The 8-horse, Einstein's Ghost, made a run inside of him. He never looked comfortable inside of him. He was looking at him, lugging in away from him. And the rider on Cow Creek Kid, Fernando de la Cruz, who I've gotten very familiar with because he rode at Oakland, he did a great job of just keeping him in that uncomfortable spot.
We're stepping aside for good. We'll have racing tomorrow. Maggie's coming as Posh Spice. Are you coming?
Same outfit on Maggie tomorrow.
That'll wrap things up for us. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow afternoon. Racing resumes, as does the Breeders' Cup World Championships. Ted Naffy, strictly the one to beat in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Tommy Joe, undefeated, but didn't cross the wire. In front in the Alcibiades. What does she do in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies? How about Iron Orchard, the New York-bred winner of the Frizette with a championship on her mind. Botus, impressive winner of the Pilgrim here, and Cy Fair, sensational at Woodbine, contender in the Juvenile Turf Sprint.
How magnificent was Full Count Felicia? Never in doubt.
Coming down to the finish, First World War. Fort Washington on the outside. They're coming down to the line, and Goliad does it.
Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm. a dynasty in motion, reshaping the sport's greatest tradition, channeling the legends of his line and surpassing them. 4 of the last 6 Derby winners carry his genes. A Golden Son, a Horse of the Year. Another chapter written beneath those iconic spires. Derby dreams fulfilled for the titans of our industry. From authentic to sovereignty, a legacy both real and supreme. Into mischief.
Why wait for fortune to be revealed when you can make your own move? Because no one ever talks about the time they played it safe. So go ahead, press your luck, tempt fate, and claim your destiny. Because once in a lifetime can happen every night. Welcome to a world that revolves around you. Your rules, your world. Resorts World.